Trees.
Okay, fuck it. We're recording.
Epic.
Welcome to the tutorial.
Apparently the guy who's supposed to be running our shit today.
It's okay. He's still waking up.
Hi.
Welcome to the tutorial. Welcome to the tutorial. If you came to learn, you're in the wrong place. Clearly.
Yeah.
We will just edit out all of the bullshit that happened before that intro. Wait,
Hey.
I mean, there was no bullshit before the intro. That was it. That was it. We perfect.
Dave,
Yeah,
look.
what makes you think he's not going to edit that out
Dave,
too?
stop company secrets, Dave. Stop it.
Stop it.
Anyway, we're gonna talk about fucking Destiny today, bro. Fuck.
Okay. I don't
Shit,
know shit,
man.
I don't know shit about this topic. So this will be
yeah,
interesting.
This is going to be a long. Yeah, I actually much like I was happy to have Jim around for the webtoon comic, or the web comic. Fucking my brain is not remembering the word. Yeah, I'm glad to have Steve around for this one. Although I'm 110% sure Steve will have much better commentary than Ringo did.
No, I think he's.
I'm pretty sure Beard's commentary is going to be like, "LOL, I never played." That's going to just be what he says
all
several times.
All I know is that Peter Dinklage as a tiny robot revives you, and you have to serve a giant orb in the sky. So that's really.
And then he becomes,
and then he becomes Nolan North. Out for Nolan North, yeah.
And then he
well,
becomes
yeah,
Nolan
I knew
North.
that, but
Because Peter Dinklage costs too much. I do like that accession though, because now I really like the simplicity of serve the orb.
That's all I know. You just have to serve a giant orb in the sky.
But I'm hoping that Steve will have some moments where we complain about something, and Steve will have like, as an outsider point of view, and be like, why is this a problem?
The only other two points
Praise
of anything
be to
that
the
I
omnipotent
know,
ball.
I know people talk about Cade Sith or Cade Sith or whatever the fuck his name is a lot.
It's six.
It's Cade 6, as in the number 6.
And then I know that there's like a hot
robot man,
like gray skin lady.
Oh, he's talking about Marasov.
Is he?
I don't know.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know.
Gray skin, I'm pretty sure that's. You might be confusing it with the Elder Scrolls.
How do you spell that?
M-A-R-A.
Mara, like the name Mara, and then Sov, S-O-V.
He's gonna Google it to see if that's the sexy gray.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100% that one. Yeah.
Say there's also Petrovenge, so I'm curious if that was.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. I kind of like Petrovenge better. Marasov definitely wears tighter pants, but Petrovenge just is prettier and has a nicer voice. Fuck you.
Anyway.
No, Marasov's way better.
Petrovenge is nicer, generally.
Anyway.
Yeah, but Marasov is hot, though.
Why the
fuck
Petrovenge
is my
mousepad, dude?
Nah, she's got like the lesbian.
She's got that working girl kind of vibe.
Who? Petrovenge?
Marasov does not have a working girl vibe.
No, she doesn't. That's why I was
got an Instagram influencer kind of vibe.
She does.
She has an army of simps.
She probably cosplays. She probably cosplays Yennefer from The Witcher.
Jesus Christ! I can absolutely see her doing that.
She probably cosplays Petrovenge.
Her chief simp is her brother too. It's fucked up.
Oh god!
Yeah,
and I found the point where safe search automatically turns off. Okay.
Delicious.
I was like, no game, no life. Heavy incest vibes.
Yeah. Oh my fucking god. Anyway. Aldrin is got a problem.
Well, I mean, if you can see past the disgustingly bright colors.
Yeah, in the first game. In the first
Aldrin's Bob gives off massive crawling in my skin vibes.
Wait, what's his name?
God,
wait, what's his name?
Aldrin. Uldren.
Yeah.
He's like.
Make sure you look up Aldrin and not Crow, because that's a different character.
What the fuck was his name? I was never like super into emo bands, but there was this one that I'm trying to remember. Yeah, he's like original the emo. Do not steal.
He's like
original character.
not
The
here.
best-
All right.
The best
I
way
drink
I can-
coffee. I don't want to also have to take pain meds for that headache inducing
also
whatever noise that was.
Also copyright. Okay. The best way I could describe this guy just by looking at him is like, oh, it's a Grand Admiral Thrawn going through his emo phase.
Yeah, it's like 14-year-old Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Teenager
He's
Grand
That's a good way to put it.
Like from the minute you see him, he's like, I don't like you. Get the fuck out.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
so
does he
I was
sound
gonna
like
say-
that? Oh, please
No,
tell
he
me he
doesn't.
sounds like
No,
that.
he doesn't
no,
sound
no.
like that. There is a
No,
character
he's
that
like-
sounds like that, but it's not him. No, from the
From another
moment you
house,
he
meet
sound like-
Aldrin, he basically is racist against you because you're not what he is.
Oh my god, that
He's
would
like
be hilarious.
super. Do you remember the movie? I don't know if you guys watched it or not. I know Dave and I watched it. It's a movie called In the Name of the King, and it was a video game movie.
Yes.
Oh yes.
There's a
Poovish
character
butt
in there
Yeah.
that I lovingly refer to as Poovish Butt Cake because
I do
it's my
remember.
favorite combination of a
It's
bougie
my
word
best
and the
friend.
not so bougie. Yeah,
Right.
that's Aldrin.
Let's go.
That line essentially is like his entire character, and then they try to build on it from there and fail terribly.
He looks.
No one
he
has ever liked.
They literally had to
Aldrin
kill him
until
and
very
resurrect him
recently.
to make him like reasonable.
He looks like the
Just-
type of person who would have an absolute meltdown if you insulted his OC.
Yeah,
He,
that's more or
oh,
less
man.
exactly what
He's
happened.
No,
the game.
he is the
He's
OC,
like-
bro.
He's like
No, his
No,
original
he
the
does
character
like
is
kind
a
of
fanatic
slavey
because
voice, though.
he's fanatical
He's
about
like,
Aldrin and
Good
yay
luck
Prince
getting through
Aldrin.
the inclusion zone or whatever. The exclusion zone.
Good luck making it through the exclusion zone, and then we
Anyway.
proceed
Oh,
to
we
absolutely
I've
fucking
got-
waffle
Fun
stomp
either.
everything
He's
on Mars.
I've got a bad dragon in my ass.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I
yeah.
mean, you could just look up videos
Well,
of him if you want.
I
to
mean,
resist,
he
but
do. He do have a bad dragon in his ass.
I love how he came here to complain about
He do have a
legitimate-
bad dragon.
He
in
do
his ass.
have a bad. He ends up
British.
in a bad dragon's ass as well.
Yeah.
Yes. He
what?
ends up with a bad dragon in his ass.
Wait,
and in
wait,
a bad
hold
dragon's
on.
ass.
Well, hold on. Context?
Oh.
Okay,
So,
we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to
Yeah.
that in a minute. Let's do this in order.
right. So from the moment you meet him in the first game, he's a complete dickhead. Basically, like fucking bruh. I'm pretty sure he actually does
That
say
doesn't
I don't
describe
like
jack
you.
shit.
I'm pretty sure the
Ringo.
first thing he says is actually I don't like you because Marasov does most of the talking, doesn't she? At first.
No, Aldrin does most of the
Yeah.
talking. Aldrin, Marisov is like she'd only be bothered to like say
No, wait, he
few
says
lines
something
at
like,
once.
"Why should
The idea
you
is to
be?
please
Why
supposed to
should
be-
you
Yeah,
be?
something like-
Why should the queen be made to meet with every bit of debris that washes up on the reef?" I think that's his opening line.
yeah, something like that. So then
Um,
your guardian's like, because I'm important, which is
can I share
not
the-
a great line either.
Can I
but-
share the top if I type in Marasov in the search bar? what
Yeah, please, do tell
what the
me.
auto
My
completes
God.
are here? Just
Yeah, do tell me.
Here-
I'm curious.
here
I'm
we go.
curious.
Mara,
Marasov body pillow.
oh my
Marasov
fucking god.
thick. Marasov hot deviant art. Marasov VA. Marasov age. Marasov AO3. Marasov SVG. I don't know what those last like 4 are, but damn, the top 3 are body pillow, thick, and hot deviant art.
I
I'm
would
surprised
say-
you didn't get. I got slightly different ones, but I will say that the
Yeah.
first one I got was also Marasov body pillow.
Yes.
Let's see what I get.
That's
It's
the top
roulette.
one for me too.
I'm gonna actually look at this. I'm gonna look
Oh,
at this.
man.
I want to
Oh,
see what
I
a
got the
Is
Marasov
that
same
body
one.
pillow.
critical?
That's-
Sorry,
oh
we should
my
get,
fucking
we,
God.
should, we should get back
Hold
on
on,
topic.
That is not Charlie, but he does look a hell of a lot like Charlie.
We should get back on topic, but that does
Oh,
look
man.
like Charlie.
He's also holding a whiskey, so I guess it can't be all bad.
Anyway,
Hey, I take this one. It's Mara and Petra not wearing much on a pillow.
anyway,
Anyway, back on topic.
What the stupid
Yeah.
gross fuck is this?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We are 100% on topic. We're talking about Destiny. Marasov is a Destiny character. We need to know the merch that's available.
Destiny is the most
Wait.
influential game of the last decade.
Also,
Okay,
No.
now that I've
We're
turned
not doing
safe
that
search
meme anymore.
off,
No.
that's a bad idea.
No.
That's a very
That's
bad
a
idea.
terrible idea. idea.
This is
Well,
actually
to
rather
be
nice.
fair, it only adds about one line to the body pillow search. So
That's okay.
Okay. What was I gonna
Anyway,
say?
so
Oh
the
yeah,
first
she's canonically into black guys.
anyway, oh
what?
yeah, cause Shaq. Anyway,
Cause Shax.
well, you know,
One of
black
those
and
Shax's a
blue.
black
girls.
guy.
You know, black
She's
and
like,
blue
I
go
only date
together.
black guys.
yeah,
I
sure
don't
they
think
do.
she's into any particular skin color. I
Just
think she was
specifically
specifically
Shaq.
into
She's
Shax
exclusively
because
into that
he
Shax's
has
dick.
the biggest balls of every fucking Destiny character in
Well, as
existence.
far inside the Destiny universe, he's basic. Lord Shax is basically the Destiny version of the Doomslayer. Like, let's be honest.
Oh, and
Yeah.
of course she's into
I don't know.
bad
He's
boys.
just Chad.
Of course she's into bad boys. She looks like she would be.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
totally into the bad boy type. But yeah,
She
her and
asks
Lord
her
Shax have
wish
some kind of
dragon.
a.
She's like, she literally asks
I just
for
really need some
relief.
black dick right now.
And the response from the wish dragon is to summon Shax for
Wait,
relief.
I'm sorry. Back up. You cut off like half of that. What did you say?
So Marasov has a wish dragon
Uh-huh.
Which,
that can
by
grant
the way,
wishes.
Which is not as pretty as Falcor. It doesn't look
Right,
like
I
a
was gonna say,
dog.
it's not pretty like
that.
Falcor. You fight that wish dragon later. Jesus Christ, it's a monster.
It is.
I've
fucking
also
disgusting.
seen the
It
full
actually
body
is.
model of it. It's just like a giant, ugly gecko with
It's gross,
like
is what
some
it is.
seriously bad acne. That's
Mhm.
more or less what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But point being, she unconsciously wishes for relief from what she's dealing with, and the wish dragon's response is to summon Shax to be her relief.
Oh, I see. So
If
he
you catch my
completely
drift.
knows what he's doing.
No, he was in the middle of a meeting with someone else. He literally like
He's
Oh,
got a
man.
coffee cup
Oh,
in his
of a
hand, but so
rage
is his
against
helmet's
somebody
on.
else, and he looks around like,
And he's like, what in the
I
cinnamon
need
toast
I
fuck
need
just
to get
happened?
off of Google search. Holy
Hold
shit.
on. Okay. All right. Anyway.
So we're just gonna talk about Marasov all day. Is that the plan?
Anyway.
I mean,
Yes,
Two
she's
this is
hours
hot.
of
Marasov's
mention-
gonna
An
train.
hour of Marasov.
Did I mention that she's hot?
Welcome to the Marasov episode.
All right,
Is
let's
this what
get to
Lord?
it.
yeah,
Is this
really
what
fun
Lord
picture
Shax
that I was
looks
gonna
like?
share with you
He
guys.
looks like an anime character.
Lord Shax.
do.
He basically is an anime character. He can literally fly. He's a human cruise missile.
He's also
That is true,
horny.
he can.
I mean, technically, yeah, sure.
Looks like he plays football, to be
He
honest.
does.
He does. He does look like he plays football.
I look at him and I just immediately
Fun
hear the
fact,
NFL theme
there
in
is
my head.
literally a lore card where he plays football with some children.
Let me guess,
Like,
he absolutely dominates the
why
fuck
does
out of
he
them.
always have his hands on his hips? Is there a shot where he doesn't?
Because
There are a few, yes. For example, the one where instead of having a hand on his hip, he is barging through doors with his giant sword, slaying everything in front of him.
Or
he
how
has a
about the
giant
one right
fiery
here where
sword.
he
and
has
he,
one hand on his
really
hip and
fucking
the other
shit up.
hand on a rocket launcher?
Yeah, here it is. One hand on hip, one hand on rocket launcher.
Here's one where he has two hands on a Gatling gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
hang
so
on.
the long and short of
Business,
okay, here it is.
I
Here's
gotta know.
Lord Shax playing football with kids. That's back when he had both horns on his helmet.
Anyway, audio listeners are having a fucking field day this episode.
Right?
Yeah, because they're like, what are these assholes talking about? That or they're being intelligent people and searching along with us. Oh, okay, I see. Lord Shax's Destiny trip number 3, which this is totally lore appropriate. I love this titanic cylinder of ammunition on his back.
Oh God, dude, my back.
Okay, so Destiny 1.
Okay.
What's can we like start
Right.
the actual discussion now?
So okay,
Yeah, so most of my stuff is gonna just be talking about Destiny 2, but I did play Destiny at the start. So if you want to take this part, since you were the guy that pre-ordered everything, was like really super into the lore and whatnot, and I'll just provide good
Oh
commentary.
man. I'll hail
Oh,
the Lord.
lore.
My name is Bife.
What?
Lore
It's
Master
He's the
by
Destiny
Lore
lore
Master.
guy. He's the Destiny lore master on YouTube.
What's funny is his voice is not too dissimilar from Vati Vidya. So at this point, I'm just like, to be a lore master, you must have an ASMR male voice that sounds vaguely British.
See, now I want to set up a lore channel where I purposely talk like some Western hellion.
I'm about to tell you about Naruto Shippuden.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my god. No joke. Just as a quick side rant here. No joke. I was watching a video on a cryptid the other day, and they were talking about Yosemite Park, and the guy in the video was like, Yosemite Park, and I was like, I'm about to throw my phone across the room,
Was
bro.
it fucking Mothman?
No.
Yo,
Okay,
if
'cause
somebody
there-
like if somebody if somebody said Yosemite Park in front of me, I'd be like, if you're not American and you've never been to
Right.
America, I'm willing to look over this. But if you're an American who's gone through the American public school system, I'm about to throw hands.
I feel like it would just be a thing where like if somebody was in front of me and said, "Oh yeah, Yosemite Park," I wouldn't even try to punch them. My body would just move and my hand would be in their face.
Your ultra instinct would activate.
Yeah, you just activate a massive ultra instinct.
I'm just imagining now, like, like the eye shine thing when people get pissed when it's like,
In the anime, yeah.
oh man, I'm imagining like someone says Yosemite Park and then Steve's eyes are just like, oh, my voice cracked and ruined that whole thing.
Anyway, Mr.
Okay,
Lore,
my voice cracks on the regular. I'm on like puberty number 4 now.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
They
Mr.
told me
Lore,
puberty stopped at 18 years old, but it didn't.
So about Destiny.
So Destiny 1, I wanted to say pretty much nothing but good shit about Destiny 1. Destiny 1 was amazing.
Yeah, I don't have.
I
anything
do have
bad
a
to say
couple.
about that.
I do have a couple complaints about Destiny 1, but I'll get to those
Well-
as you get to them.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine there's some complaints about Destiny 1. I haven't played it in a while, so I am definitely looking at it through rose-tinted nostalgia filters right now. I'm kind of at the.
I will say for anyone on our podcast who's listening who, like Beard, has not ever played Destiny, they've got sort of like your really basic fantasy class system where they have a mage, a warrior, a rogue, but they're called a warlock, a titan, and a hunter, and so each of them have class-based abilities which don't make a huge difference up till the super,
Unless
and then
you
the
pick
supers.
Hunter, and then it's the worst one.
Unless it's the hunter, and then it's the worst one.
Unless it's the Hunter, and then it's the worst
Which
one.
is funny because Bungie has actually tweeted hashtag Hunter Master Race.
See,
But,
they're wrong because the jump is shit. So
Anyway, so when the first Destiny came out, subclasses came in 3 flavors, which was Solar, Void, and Arc, which was basically fire, just raw energy, and then lightning. When the first Destiny came out, each class type did not have access to all 3 of those elements. For instance, I played a warlock. I had the option of a solar class and a void class. Leonus played a titan, so he had access to a void class and an arc class.
yeah, I also played Warlock, so I had to.
That was really early on. That was my only real complaint with Destiny. I was like, well, what if I want an arc class? But they actually fixed that at some point. So in one of their expansions, they gave each class their like a subclass that was their missing element. So that was fantastic.
And those 3 subclasses were the most broken things to ever exist.
Well,
And
they
nobody
got
ever uses any
addressed
other class.
Destiny 1 Stormcaller was so much better.
Oh my god, it was ridiculously overpowered.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna
It's
say.
like
So
the
long.
enemy is
Storm-
moving
once
against each other. Not if
Stormcaller
we have
came
2
out-
Stormcallers.
Yeah.
Once Stormcaller came
Fuck
out,
that. You don't even need 2.
there's like never you'd see people use the solar class on occasion but usually they'd use it if they were trying to solo a raid because they could
Yeah,
get
because they
themselves
could
back
revive
up.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that Suncaller, Sun Singer, that's what it was called. Sun Singer, it was pretty much the only thing I would do raids with because it felt so fucking clutch every time to just if we all got wiped, just get up and be like, "Fuck you, we go past this mechanic anyway."
It does feel pretty good because you'd have white mechanics where the boss would just be like, "No, everybody's dead," and then one warlock would get up and be like, "Nah, we're not," and then just run around.
Reject the reality and substitute my own.
Yeah,
and in
see the
Destiny 2,
raids.
they changed that. They changed that
They
so you
changed
have
that,
a limited
yeah.
number of tokens to revive
Yeah.
people with.
Yeah, well,
So you
that
can't
and
just
you
do
just
that.
do not have Sunsinger anymore in
Yeah,
Destiny
they
2.
don't have
Yeah.
something.
That's
No,
the other
also,
way.
Here's my personal opinion. They got rid of Sunsinger. You don't need the tokens because you can't revive everybody anyway.
Yeah. There's no build where a warlock can be so fucking stonky that you'd be able to go around and revive everybody. You'd have to revive like one, maybe two people, and then just focus on staying alive while your allies also get a couple people up, and then focus on staying alive. But that's the second game.
yeah. So for the first game, I
Yeah.
played
I'll get to my other major complaint when we get to it.
I played everything in the first game except for the raids, and I
I
had
played a little bit of the raids.
I
Yeah, I wasn't
didn't
like
have very
Raids
many.
suck.
I didn't have very many of the exotics because I didn't get to play the raids, so I wasn't able to get most of the exotics.
Raids is
I
like one
actually
of
never
the
played
biggest
Vault of
reasons
Glass.
I don't play any kind of like MMOs.
Let me guess. Oh, it's because you have to have friends and I'm alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they did take
I don't
steps to
blame you because
mitigate
I was
that.
like that. Yeah.
They're like, want loot? Get friends. And I'm like, I'll just go without the loot, thanks.
Yeah. Well, no, for me, it's and a lot of people really enjoy the just strange and out of the ordinary mechanics um that raids
Oh yeah,
bring in.
that's super fun.
I actually quite enjoyed Crota's End, which was the very very first raid, because it would be more like in Destiny 2, it's simplistic enough that
No,
it
the
would be
very first raid was not Crota's End. The
a
very
Vault of Glass.
first raid.
The first one was
Vault
the
of Glass.
yeah, I was gonna say the very first
Huh.
one was the
Yeah, no, that was they changed
The
it
Vex
when
one.
Dark Below came out, but the first one I ever did was Crota's End. It's very very simple. It's basically just like a waves upon waves of enemies where it's like stand here and also over there and survive until the bridge lowers and then move on. It's not super complicated. It's a little more complicated than that, but it's pretty much just like a brute force slog to get to Crota, and then it's your typical RPG boss mechanics, like, oh, you got to disable his thing, you
or
can
he
hit him
instant kills you.
sword. But yeah, that
And if you don't
I
kill
didn't.
him
I
on the
actually
third
never
try,
played Vault of Glass, which is probably
he's
why I
worth
forget
it.
that it came first.
Yeah. No, Vault of Glass I got a few playthroughs of.
Vault
it was
of Glass
really,
was in the Lord of Wolves expansion, wasn't it?
No.
They
Vault of
updated
Glass
it
came. So when the game first
House
came
of
out,
Wolves. Lord
there
of
were
Wolves.
no raids open. There were no available. I would know this. I played on
Right.
day one.
Right.
There were no. I played back when Petrovenge was someone who occasionally showed up in the tower, and you did not have access to the open zone on the top of the tower because that only happened sometimes. And the person who was there was no Lord Saladin or Iron Banner, that didn't exist. Sometimes Petrovenge would show up and give you what do they call it? Specific special bounties that were basically like hard mode bounties, called the Queen's bounties, and you would go in and
Yeah.
The Queen.
you'd have to do a mission in like with really stupid modifiers on it that made it fucking hard as shit.
Yeah.
And practically every last one of them had a heroic modifier on them too, so it made it really tough to finish. But anyway, back then there were no raids open. It was about a month and a half of the game before they released Vault of Glass, and then everybody wanted to play Vault of Glass, but I didn't have friends, so I didn't get to play it. I didn't really understand that raids were
Shadow Legends.
multiplayer
what?
only.
You must have 6-man team. It is designed to have a full
That
6-man.
depends. You
Hey,
could solo Crota for a long time.
I'm the size of 6
Yeah,
men. That
yeah,
doesn't
listen.
count.
No, you're not.
That's
You're
something to be
what?
proud of, but
Doesn't count.
The size of 6 men is like 1,200 pounds, dude.
I don't know. What's the average size of a man?
6
The
foot,
average
200
size
pounds.
of a human male is roughly 5'9", 240 pounds.
yeah.
Interesting that you just know that.
Yeah.
I have a spouse in the medical profession, and I have worked in both labor and medical. So yeah, I just know that. Brought up several times.
But anyway, yeah, I remember trying to do Vault of Glass when it first came out, all by my lonesome, and the mechanic to open the Vault of Glass so you could get in and continue meant that there were like 3 plates that you had to have a team member stand on and guard. So I just ran up to one of these plates thinking, I'll just turn this plate on, then run to the next one and turn that plate on. But what would happen is
The other
that
plate
plate came
turns
under
off when you leave.
constant attack, and they had these like yellow barred, hard as fuck to kill enemies that would come and stand on the plates, and you were supposed to have 2 people on each plate working to kill that shit. So it was really a pain in the ass, and I just remember going, "Well, this is bullshit."
Yeah, I remember
Because
I remember you complaining about the harpies all the time.
the
It's funny because
Gorgons.
the
Yeah.
harpies are the
Gorgons
easiest
suck.
Vex enemy to kill. Like it's actually harder for me to aim at a goblin's juice box.
Not if they're a
Uh,
Gorgon,
the-
it isn't, because the Gorgons, as soon as they see you, they start a 10-second countdown.
Yeah,
They have a big ass
Gorgon.
health bar, and if you don't kill them in that 10 seconds, the
You're
entire
dead.
party wipes. Period.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, my favorite thing about Gorgons is they see you and they just go ah until you die.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they just scream at you until you're dead.
What
It's
an
amazing.
interesting concept for a monster.
Sure.
Certainly, that's never been done before.
Yeah.
The Gorgon from
Or you
But
know,
so
every
I
single
didn't really
bad
get
guy
into
from Five
raiding.
Nights at Freddy's.
there's
Yeah.
that, yeah. Yeah, that is pretty much what
I didn't really
happens
get
there.
into raiding until the Taken King came out. But I want to talk about that for a minute. Is
Da, da,
Des-
da, da, da,
Destiny
da,
was like okay, and then they came
da,
out with Crota's End and or with the Dark Below and
Dark Below, House of
Low,
Wolves, Taken King, Rise of
House
Iron.
of Wolves, and I remember I didn't play. I wasn't playing at the time that Dark Below was brand new, and by the time I started playing again, I had taken a break. When I came back to play again, House of Wolves was new, and well, maybe not new, but it was the newest thing. And I just remember that there was like a whole bunch of like hive mini bosses everywhere from the Dark Below, and then there were like a bunch of rotating timed events that had to do with the House of Wolves. And you had to run around the solar system and hunt down special types of captains and whatnot. I loved the House of Wolves. I thought the House of
This
Wolves was
sounds
amazing.
way too complicated.
When they
If you've ever played an
when they brought out the
MMORPG,
Taken King, I was like super bummed that they took away all my cool like servitor bosses and shit that I enjoyed
Archon
fighting.
bosses, because we never get to see Archons.
Yeah,
I play one.
That's true.
I play one MMO. Sometimes.
Isn't it like Maple Story or something?
No, that's you, sir.
Story,
You're the one that plays Maple Story.
MMO about creating delicious
I literally
games.
never played Maple Story.
I don't even know what that is.
don't
That's
even
why I came up
believe
with
you,
it.
but
Sounds
okay.
like-
No, I'm talking about Adventure Quest Worlds.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
and
It's
yeah,
like
gotta
the only
go
one.
log in to make sure that exists still.
It does. I have the
but I mean,
desktop.
like,
I have the desktop launcher, which I may or may not be looking at right this second.
Yeah, I also have the desktop launcher, but I never open it because why?
I got the desktop launcher because you can't actually play online anymore because Flash is no longer supported.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I've been playing through the original Adventure Quest and some Dragon Fable because I plan on using a couple quest
Dragon
lines.
Fable is good.
I plan on borrowing, we'll say, a couple quest lines for a D&D campaign that I'm going to do because I like those particular quest lines. So I'm going to fix them to my story, change them a little bit, but they say imitation is.
I'm gonna copy Arctic Krieger's
No, I'm
homework.
not copying. I'm changing it a little bit.
You're
'cause I
copying
respect
their
Arctic
homework
work
and
out
changing the answers. That's what you're doing.
more or less, yeah.
Cringe.
Some
Anyway,
of my players have
Okay,
played
so-
either of those games, so I mean, I've played with DMs who basically just like recycled Star Wars to me. So there's that.
I mean, there are actual Star Wars games, but okay.
Yeah, there are. Anyway, so Destiny. My next major complaint actually, well, it's not really a major complaint. It's more of just like a nitpick. It actually was with the transition from House of Wolves to the Taken King. Now, I understand that from a narrative standpoint, we have, narratively speaking, we have dealt with the House of Wolves. Golos was defeated, etc. And so now we're moving on to Oryx, who was like the biggest bad.
yeah, the big
It
shadowy
really
figure.
I love
didn't
how
that
we
only
thought
gets
he
you
was the
and,
biggest
like,
bad.
Hey, remember how you paid for the Dark Below and the House of Wolves, and you got access to this full content, and you got all these like new new things to do, like you were just talking about with hunting wolf packs and whatnot. You can't do that anymore, and also all the stuff you paid for is now free to play. That got on my nerves a bit.
That sounds like it would, yeah.
The biggest annoyance I had with that was just that like I it, I wasn't too upset because they did replace the like hunting down wolf packs and the mini bosses that
With
you could
hunting
find
down, taking
with hunting
like
down taken mini bosses and blights and
that was
stuff.
the other thing. It's like I
So
had to pay for it, and I just got more of the same, is what it felt like. Like it was just
the
like, oh, we just
mm,
cranked up the inverted colors on your wolf packs, and surprise, now it's totally different. Pay for it again.
I mean, I can see where you would come where you'd see it that way. I was happy about it because the mechanic didn't go away. I just really enjoyed the aesthetic and the feel of hunting down the wolf pack because it felt like you were hunting this vast criminal
Right.
organization, like, and it didn't feel as it felt way more Wild West. Fighting Oryx felt like a big fantasy battle of light versus darkness. It didn't
Yeah.
have the same feeling as like this. Like that's one of the reasons why I like the spider so much in Destiny 2. It has the feeling of this like piece of science fiction lore that doesn't fit with this grand narrative of light versus dark because he doesn't care about it. He's just there to make
Yeah.
his money.
He's just like a gangster. My favorite thing about the spider is just the whole thing about that particular area of the Tangled Shore,
The Tangled
especially like
Shore.
his hideout. It gives me crazy Oddworld vibes. I love it.
Oh, it sure does. It sure does.
I still don't know what that is.
Oh, one day you
Man,
should educate
uncultured.
yourself. The Oddworld series is an incredible
Look,
series.
you can say what you want, but pretty much any time at all ever that anyone says, have you seen this thing or heard this thing? The answer is no. No, I haven't.
What the hell are you doing making a podcast, man?
Bro,
because
get
I read
out and experience shit.
See, now you lost me at Get Out. No, I'll stay home.
Well, to play video games,
Okay.
it sort of requires having something plugged in. So do say it.
True.
I was gonna say you can
You got
stay
a
home, but
projector
like
and an outdoor cord.
experience the digital world around you, dude.
What,
like
I do. I play video games.
My point
you
is,
play
you
like
should
5
play the
video
Oddworld.
games.
I play a lot, bro. I play Hyrule Warriors.
And Hyrule Warriors
Okay.
too.
I play a lot. Name is one game.
Actually, I haven't played Hyrule Warriors 2 yet. I play Hyrule Warriors. I play 100%.
I have not
100% Orange
played
Juice.
Hyrule Warriors.
Don't
I have
even bring
played
up
Hyrule Warriors too.
It's no real game. It's terrible.
Outer Worlds. That's the game I've played. Left 4 Dead.
Okay.
Dead Island.
Okay. So you play video games. My point is, you should play the Oddworld series because I know it's sort of a meme on our podcast now, but the whole Minecraft was the most influential. I would say Oddworld, the decade before, is up there in like most influential titles. Is the Oddworld series? the
But how?
for like
Well, I don't believe that because I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
well, there's people out there who've never
That's
heard of
your
Halo.
loss, bro. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I know
They
it's difficult to
exist.
believe, but there are.
Sadly,
They're a blessed group of people.
They also tend to be the people who are like, "Oh, did you buy that new NBA 2K game?" And I'm like,
No,
"No,
I
man,
mean,
I prefer to
that's
actually
fair.
play sports, not play video games."
You know what's fun about NBA 2K or whatever is getting to make the most monstrous fucking human you've ever seen, and then making them
I
play
want to play on the
basketball.
basketball team, the Monstars.
I
At
did want to
me,
say one other
James
thing though,
Jordan.
because so when they moved on from Taken King back to Destiny, when they moved on from Taken King to Rise
Rise
of
of
Iron,
Iron, Lord
the thing
Solomon.
that I thought was like really about the whole thing was so from the beginning, and this was another reason why I didn't complain so hard about things changing in Taken King. I like the concept of getting to experience that as we do things as a character, the world actually changes around us. That is a good thing to me.
Yeah, that doesn't have
Right,
as
So
you
much of
feel
me
like you're
to it.
making a
getting
difference.
it's like, yeah, so for example, one of the things I complained about early Destiny was like you go out in the Cosmodrome and you just murder hordes of Fallen. I'm like, how do the Fallen have a presence here anymore? How many of you are there that I have to murder before like we're done with this problem?
Well, you can make that argument for any MMO because it's like, something like World of Warcraft has been around for like decades at this point. How is there still an enemy presence?
because
Like one
they
Yeah.
one side could have totally wiped the other out by now.
because they
The
respawn.
sheer numbers, and if you were to have access to the server, like the sheer numbers of each, enemy type that have been defeated since the release of the game, especially some of the early zones, anything that's still around, that's still playable, because I'm sure a game like that has its nips and tucks and trims too. Um, like, wouldn't I have driven some of these things extinct by now? Like, I mean, look at the numbers, and it's like, oh yeah, we've killed like 470 billion of this creature between everybody who's played.
Yeah, but
That's probably a pretty
they keep
inflated
getting
number. It's
but
probably
they
more
keep
like
getting
a couple
more though.
billion.
That's the thing.
Yeah, but yeah, the thing is, it only works because it's an MMO, and so again, narratively, no, you haven't.
Yeah, I know. But that's
Mm.
the thing though, is you did physically go out and do
The
it, so it feels
the
like
problem with that is
it feels like you're not
narratively, you
doing
never
anything.
will.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
not
The
that's
ever.
why
difference
things
is
like the House of Wolves felt good, is because like once you've beaten that enemy, you don't see that enemy anymore.
that's not entirely accurate. There were ones that cycled through, but they actually did a good way of kind of explaining different things. So for example, one of the enemies you would have to hunt down was called like I don't remember. It's like the wolf fang or something like that. But that
Silent,
wasn't a single enemy. Yeah,
silent
silent
thing.
fangs. That wasn't a single enemy. That was specifically a like a sub order of the House of
Yeah,
Wolves.
it was like their Spec
So
Ops division,
so it
basically.
made sense. The
On
wolf
the Black Ops.
scavengers. So finding wolf scavengers again, that was a subgroup
Like,
of the House of Wolves.
why is
It was
Beyond Light
never.
so much fucking money? Like, why does it cost so much?
We will
We're
get
getting.
there.
We'll get there. We'll
Bro,
get there.
no,
We can bitch about that later.
I'm looking at
I'm totally lost because
fuck.
like you're like
Because you never played Destiny.
Iron Curtain. I don't fucking what is that? I don't know.
Iron Curtain. We're not
Okay.
talking
So
about
let's
World War
briefly
II
run
again.
through
There's too many World War II games.
for the benefit of the guy who hasn't played Destiny. I'm gonna briefly run through the story, just the major playthrough story, not all the lore.
Oh
and
no,
shit.
here we go.
Um,
I regret my choice
bro,
already.
it's the original story is super bare bones. It's like you basically you wake up
you get realived and told here's a gun, go shoot things.
pretty much, and then you shoot things for different people for different reasons. The main thing is you run around the solar system. You talk to the Awoken, which the explanation for the Awoken is that they are a people who are half light and half dark and always out there in between. And frankly, they're the most edgy idiots in the galaxy.
Like
and the only
we're edgy
character among
and
them that
and super
matters
max.
is Marasov. Well, actually, that's not true. Petra does matter because as you go through the game, she's
Petra
actually
behaves more human than any other Awoken other
Yeah,
than
yeah,
Zavala
that's true.
that we run into.
Can we briefly mention our favorite character, though? I can't imagine anyone would not know the favorite character from D1.
Well, that depends. My favorite
Alright.
character might be different from your favorite character.
We are friends, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Hi, would
And it is
would you
for my
can you share with
I'll
can you share with the
illuminate
class?
I'll illuminate you. So essentially what you do is you go and you talk to the Awoken. The Awoken are the edgy people who are on the edge of the light. And then they're out there like that's when you meet Aldrin and he's like, I don't like you. And then his sister's like, but I think you're sexy, so I'll help you.
That is
like,
not how that goes down.
That feels
that's
like
not how it goes down at all.
that feels like your interpretation of events.
Yeah.
It
Not
is
how that
an
went down.
interpretation of events. Essentially, you go there. They tell you to go hunt down a Vex Gate Lord. You don't need to know what a Vex Gate Lord is exactly.
It's just
thing
a
is
powerful
it's a
Terminator, basically.
It's
A
a
Vex
big
Gaylord,
important
got it.
machine.
It's a too tall robot man with access codes to the Force.
A Gaylord, got it.
Exactly that. Yep.
Gaylord is
So
big
then
buckets in which you put things, and then you have to sort them out into Goodwill, and it's a bad time because you have to be like, this should not be sold. You should have like a license to sell this, and your manager goes, "Fuck it, put it on the line anyway," and you're like, "I don't want to work here anymore."
that seems
Yeah,
like a
so-
Different experience.
situation.
So Gaylord, got it.
So you go fight down. You go fight Zydrin the Gaylord, and you bring his head back, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't expect that. You're kind of badass, so sure, you can go to Mars." And then you go to Mars, and you fight space rhinos.
So that's really not how that goes down either with the Gate Lord. It's more like you come back and Aldrin was like, "Oh, I was hoping you would die." And then Mario's
Yeah.
like, "Well, he did the thing, so give him the thing." And he was like, "Do I have to?"
That's true. That is true. Aldrin's a whiny.
Every
sniveling
single
bitch.
step of the way, Aldrin is just this whiny bitch ass sister simp who's just like you. There's no point where you don't want to punch him in the face.
There's no redeeming quality.
I want to punch him in the face just looking at his face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so when you get there initially, they ask for the eye of a Gate Lord, and they're like, "Why do you need a Vex eye?" And Aldrin says, "Oh, we don't, and we don't think we're going to get one." And then you go get it, and he's all like, he purposely smashes the eye and goes, "Oh, broken, a wasted trip," or something like that. And then Mara's like, "All right, cuck, give him what we said we give him." So
Your queen's bidding, simp.
yeah.
Pretty much.
Listen here, I'm the cake boss.
Yeah, exactly that. So
You need a
then
cake
you go
boss.
to Mars and you fight. I don't even remember
Like
what the
the
major
Astartes
thing.
from Warhammer 40K.
Because
Yeah,
to be fair,
yeah.
you start
absolutely.
your shit on Earth. You're fighting the House of Devils,
100
which is one of
pounds
the
and full
fallen
of testosterone.
houses on Earth. I don't even remember if there's a story to that. You discover the Hive exists, and your ghost freaks out because they're so important, and they're like the most terrible darkness people or whatever. And then you go to the moon,
And it's like,
you
oh
fight a bunch
no,
of
they're on
Hive.
Earth. And then you just like leave, and you're like, whatever.
Yeah, and then you just like,
Yeah.
I don't care. And then you
It
go to
just
the
takes a
moon and
while.
you fight more Hive. And I don't remember if there's any important story there at all, other than you find the world's grave. And the only reason that that's important is because it's the Hive library. Whoop-de-doo.
It's basically it's the
Uh,
high version of the Wikipedia, but they had to have super.
Everything to do with Crota was on the moon, wasn't it?
We're not there yet.
The fuck is a Crota?
We're
We'll
getting
get
there.
So anyway, you go to Mars and you fight an empire
sounds like a
called
disease.
the Cabal.
That also sounds like a
pretty much
disease.
is. Yeah.
Okay, so Cabal is an
Cabal are space
actual English
rhinos.
word. Cabal is an
Well,
actual
Cabal
English
or
I'm
word.
not. I'm
Yeah.
not
It's like a
here to
fancy
argue
way of saying
lexicon.
fuck.
Okay, I'm just saying it sounds like a disease.
So there's space rhinos. So you fight Vex and space rhinos on Mars until
Okay.
eventually you open up a gate to the Black Garden, and then you have to fight this amorphous blob called the Heart of the Black Garden. And you don't actually fight the blob; you just go in, and the blob makes you fight
Just
3
kill a
mini
bunch
bosses,
of Vex,
and
and then it
win.
gets an aneurysm from the fact that you killed all of its children.
Yeah,
This sounds like a fever
and
dream.
that's the main game.
the villain.
Then you get the Dark Below, which is where they introduce. Well, they didn't first introduce Crota there. The
Yeah,
name got
we've heard
name
of
dropped.
Crota, but this is the first time we actually were like, we're gonna fight
So
Crota.
so in that one, a new NPC shows up in the tower, which is like the social space that everyone comes back to get missions and stuff.
Mhm.
And her name is
Eris
Eris, and
Morn.
she's called the Bane of Crota. And she's a guardian who lost her ghost and has a lot of dark, evil, hive, ghosty goo stuff all over her. And
She's well versed in hive magic,
she's
and
she is the dark choke me mommy dom bitch of the
Okay,
no,
so
no, she
she's
definitely
got.
gives off top vibes. She gives
Okay,
off top
so
vibes. She would be the one
she's
doing the joking.
she's got space STDs, and that's why she can beat him.
yes.
She has 3 eyes because she's been partially consumed. She's been
So
partially
She
I
has,
consumed.
liked.
she has space STDs.
Well, she lost
and
her eyes, so
really,
she took the
like,
eyes of an
childhood
acolyte.
trauma.
That's what they say in the game.
She has childhood
Um,
trauma, unresolved.
Has
She has a
adulthood
lot
trauma
of-
too.
She's also one of the few guardians who knows who she was before she died.
Oh, that's something I did not know. No,
Yep.
she's an awoken, so that's maybe has something to do with it.
I used to be a
No.
cow.
She hunted down that information because she wanted to know.
Because also, like, I don't answer to Zavala. Fuck you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Zela.
So she is.
Vuvuzela.
I
Yeah.
fucking, to be honest, I love and hate Asher Mare. But moving on, the point of the Dark Below was you had to fight Crota, and you started learning that the Hive have these.
Oh my
Am I in the call anymore?
Yeah.
The Hive have these. They're called Ascendant Hive, which are like super powerful hive that the rest of the hive worship as gods. Crota is one of these. And he's the hive lord who's like the king over all the hive in the solar system. But
He
he's
has
not
a
the top
shrine
dog
on the
hive.
moon called the Shrine of Oryx.
Yes, I was gonna say that's not a shrine to Crota. And you fight a boss there called the Eye of Oryx or something like that. The point is, you with Eris's help, you hunt down all these different hive mini bosses, which are called like the Heart of Crota, the Eyes of Crota, the Hands of Crota,
the
whatever.
Will of Crota. Which, by the way, the Will of Crota has a name.
Is his wife.
He's actually a recurring
Omnigul.
villain who outlasts Crota.
Yep.
You don't actually finally hunt down and kill Omnigul until the Taken King.
Is that true? I thought
No,
you
I'm
killed
pretty sure
her
you kill her
in
in
a
D2.
strike in the Dark Below. No, you
No,
kill
you're
her
thinking of the
daughter,
strike
Hashla
where she shows
Dune,
up. You're
D2.
thinking of the strike where she shows up in the Warmine bunker. The strike where you
No.
go
You don't kill her
to the
there.
Cosmodrome and you hunt her down and kill her wasn't around until the Taken King.
Really?
Played it a couple days ago.
I mean, I'm still completely lost. So
well, so the thing is, you're chasing down. So the idea is, Eris explains, Crota actually died before on the physical plane.
oh
and the way that
no!
Ascendant
Oh,
Hive.
this
So
is
let me
this is too complicated now. He
let me
died
explain.
on the
The
physical
wave,
plane. No, there's too many
Yeah.
planes for me now.
fucking-
It's actually not that complicated.
It's not
It's
that
basically
complicated.
he has a respawn zone like you do.
Yeah,
He has
exactly.
has like a little bubble dimension that he has to
Like a pocket
reconstitute his
dimension,
physical
yeah.
form.
So in every level except physical, he's a werewolf. Got it.
I'm not sure where you're getting the bear or the
Sure.
wolf part of it, but sure.
It's
I mean,
a joke.
he is humanoid, so I guess where works.
It's a joke. I'm talking
He's
about
he's
furries. Move on.
Were shrimp.
Basically, the idea is that he's a god, so you can't just kill him.
You can't just kill him. You have to do special shit to kill him.
He's
they're
special.
trying
But
to
apparently
revive him.
you can goop him. But okay.
You know what a
Yeah.
lich is? Like a lich with a
Yeah, he's like a lich.
He
He
has
has
a
a
special get out of
phylactery.
death free card.
So
Okay.
so that's essentially what it is. He has a phylactery. That's a good
That's the
explanation.
best way I can explain it to you
now
without
that
having to go through all kinds of crazy.
that makes sense, and I'm mad
He
about that
he
because
effectively
magic is bullshit.
He has like a bubble pocket dimension that works as
You
a.
know what's funny
That's
about
the
that?
easiest way to put
Actually,
it.
Destiny agrees with you that magic is bullshit. The Hive are the only ones who have it, and every time they get involved with shit, everybody bitches about it in game because the Cabal are just an army of
Warhammer.
Roman wannabe soldiers. I can fight that. The Vex are a bunch of machines. I can fight that. The Fallen are desperately clawing to their past nobility, and they're just a bunch of pirates essentially trying to do whatever. I can fight that. The Hive are like, I tear the darkness from beyond the veil, and I weave it into my. So shut the fuck up and die already.
I will
Yeah.
argue with you a little bit. The Vex are that's not just an army of robots. It's an army of robots who have hacked photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
I'm in.
But the point being, she helps you hunt down all these people, and the most important one is the will of Crota or Omnigul, which is basically his wife and the one who gives birth to all of his children.
They don't
And
have marriage in the traditional sense that humans do, so it's basically more like his baby mama.
yeah, and then you
Doesn't
hunt all of
call
them down, and then you go find this crag on the moon where they made a portal to the place with Crota's phylactery, and you go beat his ass and break his stupid crystal
Break
shrine
into his
thing.
house, you fuck up all of his shit, and then you kill him.
Yeah. So
Just
then,
like some. I'm not
so
gonna
then you
say.
move on to the House of Wolves, which is the coolest one in my
Okay.
opinion.
Sure.
You're like whatever.
I feel
still
dirty.
my
having it
brain
down like that,
is
break
like
into his house,
trying
break all
my
of his shit,
brain
and you
is
kill it.
my brain's attempting to catch up and going, this does not compute.
What is tough for you to figure out?
I know that you said a lot of stuff. All I caught was there's a god, he's got a phylactery, you smash it and move on. That was all I caught. Everything
That's
else
pretty
was
much
just
all you really need.
everything else
You
was just
summarize. Allow me to summarize. Allow me to summarize.
You had to hunt down certain servants to get access to the phylactery.
Allow me to summarize.
Minecraft is the most influential game of the past decade.
That's like the only thing.
We're waiting for the summarization.
He's like, let me
Steven,
summarize.
Are you familiar? Are you do what? Well, this would be easier. Do you know what Horcruxes are from the Harry Potter franchise?
Yes.
I don't.
Effectively, each of these hive mini bosses function as a Horcrux.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know where you're going with this, and it would have been much simpler for you to just say you have to beat the robot masters before you can fight Dr. Wily.
That's effectively from a game mechanical
much,
standpoint. That is exactly what it comes down to. The difference, the key difference is you don't get any cool new abilities from the robot masters. You have a core set of abilities, and you just get like more powerful guns, basically.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that, but okay.
Well, there are some bosses that it's like, now you can make this cool weapon, but that's mostly like you get that out of Crota. So the Dr. Wily.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you don't get any power chips until Dr. Wily. But yeah, you have to go beat up you have to kill all of his minions before you have what you need to access him. You access him in his like pocket dimension, and then you kill him there, and then he actually dies. Like a lich getting his phylactery destroyed.
And then
So
Papa
the reason
gets
I like the House of Wolves is I feel like the House of Wolves was the real first expansion because it actually expanded the game. So you got a whole new social area for people to meet up and do things called the Reef. And it's called like something Bay in the Reef, but I don't remember the name of it. And the most annoying thing about it was now Zur could pop up there. Zur was a character where he shows up for 2 days a week.
He's not really important to explain. It's just you play Adventure Quest World, so he's Quibble Coinbiter. He's the guy who shows up and goes,
Oh,
"Look at all this
okay.
fancy shit I have for really
Yeah,
expensive in-game
okay.
currency."
Yeah, but then
Yeah,
he
yeah,
disappears
yeah.
for a while, and he only shows up every so often.
Yeah,
It's annoying when he shows up in the reef because nobody goes there for any reason.
That's totally what
Nah, the only reason people go to the
Quibble
reef
does.
for is for barracks.
Yeah. So, well, or unless you liked the Osiris shit.
Yeah, I couldn't do it because I
in
didn't
the
have
first
like,
game,
I didn't have gold.
Trials of Osiris was lame, mostly just because it was sweaty as fuck. But
What the fuck does that mean?
Sweaty.
it means that sweaty means that people min-max every last stupid fucking thing, and they get their god roll gun with every fucking perk they could possibly want on it, and they one-shot you no matter how hard you try to compete. Basically, there are people who play PvP constantly, think PvE should only exists as a gate so that they have to go through shit so they can get a better gun to play in PvP. And all they do is play in the Crucible all fucking day.
Oh, okay, I get it. So they're just assholes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's infuriating was there was a whole bunch of gear that was locked behind the Trials of Osiris, but the Trials of Osiris was the top tier of the top tier sweaty asshole ring. So
Yeah,
you
it's very
could,
inaccessible to casual players.
you were a like Korean child competitive level of PvPer, you weren't getting any of that shit.
Well, that's not exactly fair to say because the winner like 3 times in a row was an American, but also just by sheer volume of players, that was likely to happen anyway.
Well, I just use that as the stereotype because like they're the ones who make
Ah,
money
he
off
admits
gaming.
to racism.
Fine.
I don't know that that's how that works, but okay.
I mean, stereotyping
Anyway,
somebody based on their race.
I liked House of Wolves because it added a lot of shit.
Yeah, I think House of Wolves was probably my favorite expansion.
There was a lot more depth to the Awoken. We learned a bit more about their society, what was going on with them, more about their queen, more about Petrovenge, and thankfully not anything else about Aldrin. He just shut the fuck up like he should.
Yeah, interestingly, Bungie made a very smart move with House of Wolves, and I can't think of a single point in House of Wolves where Aldrin is like part of it at all. I think he's mentioned.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's mentioned a couple times, but
it's
like, is that why you think? Is that what the smart decision was? Not including fucking Aldrin stuff.
That was the good decision. Is not including Aldrin. I can't think of like. I'll go into this later when we get into like current Destiny 2, but I can't think of anybody from Destiny 1 who liked Aldrin at all.
But anywho, what I was gonna say is we learned that previous to the events, so one of the things that they talk about that's sort of a lore thing is they talk about something called the Battle of Twilight Gap, which was something that happened in the past before the events of the game. It hasn't been important until now, so I haven't mentioned it. So the only reason that's important is just prior to the Battle of Twilight Gap, all the fallen houses were talking to each other, and they were bringing themselves together for one massive attack on the city, on Earth. One of those fallen houses was the House of Wolves. To get to Earth, the House of Wolves had to move through the asteroid belt, which is what the Reef is. The Reef is a combination of the asteroid belt and ship debris that's out there in the asteroid belt. And they just kind of like tether a bunch of shit together to make a ramshackle home.
Best. It's from the time when humanity was at its best and had like spacefaring capabilities and whatnot.
Which is referred to as the Golden Age.
But the wolves had to move through the asteroid belt, which was the territory of the Awoken. So the queen was like, "Not on my watch, bitch," and she went to war with them. And she literally blew up Ceres 1 to start the war, which is the biggest asteroid in the asteroid.
That just sounds like someone being hella sensitive.
I mean, in reality, she did it because she knew that if she didn't, the city would fall, and she kind of wanted the city to be around later. But
It just sounds to me like she was like, "Oh, you're approaching me, and not running away. Okay, you're dead."
That is
That's
that is
pretty much what
actually
it is.
not
That's pretty accurate.
that's not too dissimilar. In fact, I would say Morozov actually lines up with Dio Brando fairly frequently.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, even the blonde hair.
So essentially, they go to war, and really early in the war, they kill the Kel, which is the king of the house, and the guy who takes over is called Skolas the Rabid, because we know that anyone with the name the Rabid would be a perfect leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a
So
savage tribe looking for your most ferocious
he
competitor,
totally unpredictably goes absolute apeshit insane, and decides that he's the messiah of the
Oh
fallen
my
people, and everyone
god.
should worship him. So Mara's like, okay, no, you're going to jail, and
he
just
calls himself the
throws him in
Hell of
prison.
Hells.
And the House of Wolves is
Yeah, the Kel of
about
Kells. By the
how
way, the Kel is basically like,
It's like their
I
chieftain, their lord.
literally just said it. It's like the king of a house, the chief of a
well,
house,
I didn't hear
like a
that,
tribe.
so my bad.
So Skolas is the Kel of the House of Wolves right now, and there's still plenty of wolves who are loyal to him. But when Mara beat him officially, so there's another house that's sort of a secret house of the fallen called the House of Judgment, and the House of Judgment's job is essentially to monitor all the other houses and render judgment. So
They're like
when
the
Marasov
fallen
beats
version of the
Skolas,
NSA.
yeah, when Mara beats Skolas, the judgment minister to the House of Wolves says, you should all name Mara your Kel now because your
Based on
Kel's
our
been defeated.
customs, now she's your Kel.
Yeah.
Because it's a
But a
very
lot of the
strongest
keep what
is
you
the
kill.
leader.
Yeah. Yeah. Strongest survives, keep what you kill kind of culture. And so a lot of wolves didn't like that. So the House of Wolves is about they break Skolas back out, and Skolas goes running around the Solstice going, worship me, dogs, and then you have to like
He goes
hunt him
around
and all of
killing
his
the other
friends
Kel
down.
because totally being the Kel of Kel means that there's only one Kel. Because that makes sense somehow.
He doesn't kill the Kel of Kings though.
Oh, the Kel of Kings got away.
It is insinuated Aldrin finally gets rid of him.
This sounds really complicated.
I do
mean, the
want to
lore
kind of
behind it
speed
is
this
super
up and get to
complicated.
D2 because I am really super stoked to shit on D2.
All right, let's just briefly. So I'll just briefly say the Taken King is about you killed Crota, and Crota's daddy isn't happy, so he comes in to wipe everything out. And Crota's daddy is a real fucking problem. He's like an actual eldritch horror from the abyss who will absolutely wreck your shit, and you really need to stop him before he gets the opportunity to do it.
He's
And then
got a
the
dreadnought with a Death Star, except instead of shooting in one direction, it shoots out a wave that shoots in every direction.
He's a Titan instead of
and
an
then
Olympian.
yes,
Yeah,
and then Rise of Iron is about the genophage, basically.
This
Who
is actually my next major complaint. I did not like Rise of Iron. I do want to talk about that. I did not like Rise of Iron because at this point we had a Hive based DLC. We had a Fallen based DLC. We had another Hive based DLC. And so I was like, maybe we can show the Cabal some love because like they're actually pretty cool enemies. Like there's
and the
nothing
Vex are the
special
main
about
enemy of the
them,
main
and they're
story.
like going toe to toe. And then so we get Rise of Iron, and it's another Fallen DLC. Oh, but they're different because now they're cyber. And they get this experimental nanotech that's gone absolutely fucking crazy, called Siva. And so they turn themselves into these like cybernetic super Fallen. But it was just like going back to what I said, like my complaint with paying for Taken King and just getting like the Taken War just kind of felt like a repackaging of the Wolves War. you get access to a new area of the Cosmodrome, which was the very first place that you ever play in Destiny, which is in what used to be Russia. So you get an area called the Plague Lands, which is the plague is Siva, because it's an out of control nanotech that consumes material to make more nano.
It's a cyber virus. It's essentially like a technology virus,
Yeah.
and it's
It,
eating
Mhm.
everything.
it rips apart other material to make more of itself, and it is also something of a very basic artificial intelligence, so that it knows enough to keep making more of itself. And
If you
so it
read the little
works as
blurbs
like
in the
a
lore about it, it's
virus as
super
well.
creepy because every time it like talks about something, it ends everything with like eat, consume, replicate, and then you're just like,
Yeah, 'cause
what the
that
fuck
was
is
his
this
instruction.
thing?
That it didn't really
Yeah,
creep me out because I remember the replicators from Stargate SG-1. I'm like, yeah, this is just that
yeah,
except red.
yeah. It's
I
pretty much
see.
exactly what they are. It's just the
But yeah,
replicators.
I did not like it because it's like, oh, you just get more Fallen, and you just get Cosmodrome Plus, and you got the one good thing about it is everybody who played, which I mean, if you're a PvP player, it ceases to become a good thing. There's a weapon that everybody longed to have in the original Destiny called Galahorn, which was
Galahorn!
it's named after God. What is his name? It's named after Heimdall's horn that he used to warn Asgard of incoming enemies. But it is a rocket
Rocket
launcher
launcher.
that homes in, and then upon explosion, you get a bunch of like Stark esque micro missiles that then also home in.
So the missile blows
Okay.
up into a bunch of smaller explosives, which explode outward and then all home back in on the original target.
So it's
it's like a
Or if
two
the original
mega
target
a-
was
explosions.
destroyed, they home in on surrounding targets. Anyway, it was a fantastic weapon. It was incredibly powerful,
it's a
and it was
napalm
basically
missile.
everybody's favorite rocket launcher. It was almost
But
objectively the
it
best
was
weapon in the game.
also completely up to RNGs if you got it.
Yeah. However, in Rise of Iron, you play the campaign and you get a Galahorn, period. Because Lord Salad is like, every Iron Lord requires a Galahorn. So there's a mission where you just create, and we lost Dave.
Man down.
There he is. Okay. So there's a
And
campaign
we'll
mission in
dropped
Rise of
again.
Iron. The campaign mission in Rise of Iron where you just make a Galahorn. It's just one of these like defend this area from enemies, and then
Yeah.
once it's done, it's like kick ass with new ass kicking gun.
To be fair, I really did like a lot of what they did to make like later on in in Taken King of Rise and Iron, they started making exotics things you got for challenging quests rather than RNGs, which made them a lot more fun to track down.
With Galahorn specifically, again, I'm not a PvP player. That's like a section of Destiny that I was never into. I cannot abide the kind of culture that comes with that. It's just not for me. However, I did very much enjoy getting to just run around and absolutely destroy the fuck out of everything with Galahorn. But it did feel kind of like a
Nobody
slap in the
didn't like
face.
that.
It did feel like a slap in the face to everybody who actually had to like work at it and go out of their way to like try to farm it and grind it and then eventually be
It
like,
didn't feel like a
I
slap
got
in the face to
Galahorn.
me.
And then it's just like surprise, it's not as useful anymore and there's a better one and everybody can just get it because they bought the DLC.
I was gonna say it wasn't such a slap in the face to me because I literally got Galahorn as the first exotic I ever bought from Xur, so it was like, eh.
Yeah, I mean for you, but I'm sure you're not the only player that had that experience as well. But for most people, it was like, oh my god, I finally
What
got
I will
this
give
weapon.
you is in year one, Galahorn was the top weapon, and then in year two, which was the year of
Was Taken King.
Taken King, yeah. In year two, which was the year of Taken King, they didn't. So in year two, they did this thing where you couldn't infuse weapons up to year two level of power anymore. So you had to get new stuff, and
Because they
because of
wanted you to
this,
get the new stuff.
Galahorn just stopped being a viable option pretty much ever.
Which nobody
But
enjoyed.
Dragon's Breath got an update. So then
Dragon's
when
Breath.
Rise of Iron came out, they gave everybody a free Gjallarhorn.
Just Beard, so that you know, Dragon's Breath. When we had you look up those pictures of Lord Shaxx, the rocket launcher that he's holding, that's Dragon's Breath.
I see.
Only the default skin, so to speak, for Dragon's Breath has that like shark paint job that was on like World War II planes.
Anyway, the important part is, I was going to complain a little bit about Rise of Iron 2 because my main thing was one of the things I did like about specifically taking King is we saw changes happen in the solar system in general when that showed up. We got a new playable area. We got a new.
Also, Oryx kills Marasov.
How dare!
But Marasov is basically a god like Crota, so she just comes back.
Oh, okay. Well,
She
that's
also
all
has
right
a
then. I was
Oh,
about to say like
what I really
that's
like
like the
about
one thing I like about the entire series so far.
Oh, that's how they cement how evil he is he
Yeah.
kills her.
Because it's funny because like it's totally she gets her witches and they do this like big spell where they make like these giant magical darts and they're just like annihilating through these big hive battleships. And then like it's not even using up these spell dart things, these like just big missiles of energy, just plowing through hive ships like a lightsaber through metal. And then they get to the dreadnought, which is basically that Death Star that Oryx has that I mentioned. And then they just get muted out into nothing. They collide with the ship
and then Oryx basically just goes, "My turn,"
Right.
and then
Oryx is like,
annihilates
"That's cool. Watch
everything.
this," and then he sticks his sword into a weapon engine thing like a key, turns it, and then effectively he does the "I am now accessing the nuclear codes" turnkey red button, and it picks up this giant mint-colored
pretty
wave
much.
of doom, and it just destroys everything, including all the other hive
Oh,
ships.
just so we're clear,
What
I was
a
gonna say,
dated
just so we're clear,
reference.
he is like in the rings of Saturn at this time, so he's surrounded by all the debris and whatnot that makes up those rings.
Yeah.
He destroys everything near
Yeah,
him.
it
That
just
includes
it hits
all
Control
of the
Delete
debris.
on everything. So it'd be like if
So
you
there's
got a
just
picture of
hole
Saturn,
in the rings of Saturn now.
yeah, at the center of which is this little box-shaped ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ship shape.
Big circle on the side of it that says "fuck you" in.
I was gonna say, so
Hi.
he has the "fuck you" button.
Does he has a
You're
"fuck you" and everything
one
in a
of your
planet-shaped
earliest
area around you.
missions is you have to get onto, you have to sneak aboard the ship. This is where we actually
Disable
find out
that weapon.
that Cade had a personality. He's like, he goes and talks to Amanda Holiday, and she's like, "What are you using Eris Morn's ship for?" I just love all the conversations between him and Eris after that. Like,
I don't know
yes,
if
well,
Dave has explained this.
so and so
Hold up.
Get your
didn't
ball off
destroy
my
my
map.
ship.
Hold up.
What?
You never explained who Amanda Holiday is.
Yeah,
Amanda
that's
Holiday
true.
is the ship person. So
Okay,
Amanda
great.
Holiday is the
Sweet.
whole
What a great
blonde,
explanation.
Mechanic, basically.
She's your blonde Southern Belle
She's-
sweetheart, and she's the one
she's
who
a
works
mechanic.
on the
name?
ship.
She's Daisy Duke.
All
She's
right,
Daisy
so
Duke
she's she's Tech from Tex-Mex. Great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I would not be surprised if they both drew inspiration
Well,
from the same character.
she's very Texan, and like one of her backstory bits is that her mama had a shotgun called the Chaperone.
Oh yeah,
And you
that's
can
a
get
really
that
good
as
gun.
a shotgun,
ever went on a
as
date.
an exotic shotgun in the game.
So okay, so by the way, the Chaperone is a shotgun with the fucking range of a scout rifle for some reason.
No, they
Because
fixed
it
that.
shoots slugs instead of
Yeah,
instead of shot.
They fixed that. It doesn't have that crazy.
they
range.
fixed it.
Like
Yeah,
when
but,
Modern Warfare, it's like it felt like when Modern Warfare 3 first came out, and the model shotgun was like had some not accurate shotgun range.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm going to snipe with this shotgun. So everything in a that way direction died.
That was so fun to do, though. For the little bit of time that it was around doing that, I loved just wrecking the Sweat Boys by just having Chaperone.
Oh, so bad. Anyway,
It was
Destiny.
the most satisfying shit ever.
Fuck you mean anyway, Destiny? We're talking about Destiny, bro.
So I was talking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. That's what the
What I was
chaperone.
going to say is in Rise of Iron, you get the plague lands. When you go to the plague lands, it's very clear that we are now in winter. It's snowing. This is, time has moved forward.
Russian
We're
winter.
snowing, shit has happened,
Oh,
etc. Whatever.
-60 degrees.
And then you go back out into the Cosmodrome and it's snowing and winter in the Cosmodrome. But then if you load into the Cosmodrome as a separate zone, it's still
Summer
Cosmodrome
again.
from April. And it's like, I was like, no, you should have just committed to changing the world, man.
Yeah. And that is a bit of a nitpick, but it's like you can physically walk into the Cosmodrome from the Plaguelands, and then you can't go like all the way through it, but you can get to. There is overlap, so it does create a bit of a cognitive disconnect there. But yeah, that's everything I have to say about the first Destiny game.
So then we have Destiny 2. And Destiny 2 was so hyped because we finally got our fucking Cabal expansion. And
the release of Destiny 2
was good. It was so good. The story
Yeah,
of the
Red War was
original
amazing.
chunk, Red War was amazing. And the basic background of that was you had this Cabal leader who showed up, who had been through nothing but pain and misery, had been brought up from
also,
nothing.
he was an albino for some reason.
Yeah, he
Well,
had been
that was
brought
why
up from
he
nothing.
was put through pain and misery.
Yeah, that's because in his
Yeah.
race that you're not one of us, basically. So, but he became big and strong, and he was brought up from nothing, and he literally helped overthrow the corrupted emperor, and try to help his people. And then he figures out that the darkness is a thing, and he figures out that you need the power of the light and the power of the traveler if you expect to fight this and win. And he comes all the way to our solar system to get it. And the thing is, as a Cabal, there is no go here and diplomatically ask for it. It's you take what you want.
Yeah, you are a conqueror.
So
the reason I liken them to the Astartes is because the Cabal is basically the Imperium of Rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just really cool to see that like humanity is not the only race that understands what's going on in the greater story of the universe right now, and we're not the only race that gets that this shit is happening. There is this big war between light of darkness, between, I'm gonna confuse the fuck out of Steve again, between paracausal and ontological powers, and we need to pick one of these to fight the other.
The reason I liked Gaul so much, like as a character, he made a fucking-tastic villain because he's the hero of his own story. He's only the antagonist because he's against you.
Yeah.
I see.
Like if the Traveler had still been on Mars and humanity had never discovered it, they would have just rolled up on Mars and been like, "All right, Ball, come with us."
Pretty much, yeah.
Worship the Ball.
Also, at the end of the Red War, the Ball wakes up.
Yeah, which is like this big deal because when the first Guardians were made, it was because the Traveler, quote unquote, died. There had been some kind of contact with humanity and the Traveler before. They worshipped it as a god, and it gave them access to a source of energy that we have referred to as the light, and it made science that was previously unattainable attainable. So, and that's where the golden age happened, because you had all this technology that was fueled by the light, because it's like you don't need gasoline or electricity anymore because you have this like free unlimited energy. It's basically everybody had an arc reactor in their pocket. You didn't need to have
let me guess,
any of these.
They figured out at some point
it was like
that
having a Dyson
their
sphere at
unlimited
home.
energy is limited.
Oh no, not so far. But it was basically like having a Dyson sphere at home. So it made all this crazy science possible. When the Traveler,
the Traveler had an enemy, called the Darkness that hunted him down, and since we worshipped him, hunted us down too. That was the explanation.
So apparently the darkness has been to Earth before and was fended off by the forces of Earth, I guess. The
Earth
Traveler was
Defense Force.
disabled through means that we won't get into because I don't want to spend a crazy amount of time on Destiny lore. But when the Traveler was disabled, it in its quote dying breath unquote, it generated these thousands and thousands of little computers. It basically, this one singular form doesn't work, so it more or less, it feels dirty to say it this way, but it's like it's split into a bunch of smaller machines, which are the ghosts, which then go find significant people who have died, who are like, okay, this person has like the gumption to be, an armed individual and wield the light directly, not in the science.
So in other words,
Gumption.
let's go to Texas.
Well, just because I said Texas, but there are different corporations. Like there's Soros is a weapons manufacturer company. Hake is a weapons manufacturer, and then Tex Mechanica, Texas
Mechanica.
weaponry, space style.
To be fair, they make the coolest looking guns in the game.
You only say that
Yeah,
because you're an American, and I'm here for it.
No, yeah, but like I mean, they have that chrome and gold and polished
Chrome,
wood.
gold, and mahogany.
Yeah, it's got that like.
It really makes you feel like you're
American
going to wear a
look.
10-gallon hat and have a 1 pound cigar in your mouth and
Yes.
be like, hey.
Yes.
You feel like Mitch McConnell
my
just holding it.
my favorite of
See
all
ya,
their guns
Space
is the
Cowboy.
Huckleberry.
I like the Huckleberry when it comes to like large groups of enemy because you basically get unlimited ammunition. But
Oh no, I just meant like
my favorite, just as a weapon, is the
I can see Al
Prospector because
Capone.
it's the
I can see
cannon.
Al Capone carrying a Huckleberry.
I can see Al
that's
Capone
only
carrying
reason
the
I like him.
Prospector.
That's true too.
Say hello to my slightly bigger friend.
So now that we've talked about the Red War, though, that's pretty much the end of our praises for Destiny 2, and everything else is going to be vitriol. So,
well, I actually did like.
There are a couple more things.
The other two. I really did like the other two. The fucking.
I really did like the other two.
Can I just ask a question real quick?
The other two. There's other
Can
two.
I just
hang on? Jared has a question.
Can I just ask?
Jared has a question.
Before Forsaken.
Can I just ask?
That would have been Warmind, which I
Um,
didn't particularly like, and Curse of Osiris, which I really did like.
Is Marasov in Destiny 2?
Kind of.
Yes, there's the expansion he just mentioned, Forsaken, actually is pretty much all about Uldren and Mara.
Okay, because I was about to say, if you said
We'll
no, I was
get there.
gonna say bullshit. The whole game's stupid.
No, so you let's let Jim talk about Curse of Osiris really quick.
Right. So Curse of Osiris is really fun. Like it because you basically you get introduced to Osiris himself at a certain point. Because up until this point, you had only really heard about Osiris. You'd never met him. It's not a character that you were familiar with, and you only would know about him if you did Trials of Osiris.
No, you'd know about him if you ever had the misfortune of walking past Brother Vance.
That's true.
Yeah, because he's Brother Vance is Osiris's number one.
Number what?
Number one
His
simp.
number one what?
Simp.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Brother Vance simps harder for Osiris than Uldren does for Mara.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, he does.
But okay, so
it goes beyond
but
object
here's
of
the-
worship, and you're like, I guarantee Brother Vance
Oh
has
Lord,
some
please
like
bless
drawings
my
of
anus
Osiris
with
being
your
like,
glorious
oh,
rod.
Brother Vance, I love you.
Yeah, I think you
Man,
missed
which
entirely what I
by
said.
I
Yes,
didn't.
please bust my anus with your glorious rod.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't doubt that would exist. Osiris's opinion of Vance is he is a waste of space, a fanboy, and needs to stop existing.
Yeah, Brother Vance essentially exists to show you exactly how obsessed with somebody you can be when that somebody has not ever given you any inclination that they give one iota of a fuck about you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he
that's
worships Osiris and everything Osiris has accomplished, and Osiris is like, "Sorry, who are you?" Except that he literally never ever shows himself to Brother Vance. Brother Vance dies at some point.
No, he
very
shows himself
recently
to
in the
Brother
game.
Vance once, and he never makes that mistake ever again.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about
Anyway.
that.
Never again.
Yeah. So
Bless me with your knowledge, Osiris.
so
Please leave.
I think in as far as I know, at least, you don't meet Osiris before Curse of Osiris in
No, you
Destiny
do
2.
not meet
in
Osiris
person.
before Curse of Osiris.
Okay.
And Beard, because I know you'll actually get something of a kick out of this. Do you remember Return of the Mummy, the guy who plays the Magi?
Yep.
That guy's the voice actor for Osiris.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Anyway, though,
So
like,
Osiris, he's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, he actually is a pretty cool character.
Actually,
If
I would
that's
say
his voice actor.
Marasov is the coolest. Marasov is the cool female character. Osiris is the cool male character.
Followed very closely by Shax.
Yeah.
Really quick off thing on that. The reason I like Shax so much is because you remember in Halo where it was like double kill, triple kill, kill-tacular, stuff like that.
Yep.
was that all of them? That
In,
was all of them.
In Crucible, you get Lord Shax like being your hype man whenever you do cool shit. If you manage to get a 50 kill streak, he'll be like, I don't have a medal for this. Give me a moment. And then you get there's been like these really cool like medals that you'll get. It's like, oh, you killed like 3 people, and it looks like your typical first-person shooter competitive medal.
Mhm.
But then this one, and it looks like just like crudely drawn in crayon, like 50, holy cow, oh my god, I love you. And he's like, Guardian, I want you to have this.
It's so genuine.
Please take my fan art.
More or less,
really
yeah.
random medals,
And
by
that's
the way.
another reason I'm like, he's totally the Doomslayer, because in Doom Eternal, you get to the Doomslayer's room and he just has like a bunny. He used to,
Yeah.
but he has like a bunny cage, and you have in like unicorn armor.
And he's got
Yep.
a bunch
Favorite
of like
video
weird,
game.
like
Yeah.
like
He's got a
video
So,
games.
yeah,
Yeah,
Lord
instead of-
Max, it's like he's been just like this crazy. Also, he's really tall. So he's been like this like distant. He exists to be the hype man, and he's like a super
Fucking
powerful
guy.
person from times past, and you don't really interact with him outside of the Crucible. But then you get that moment, and you're like, there is depth to this giant.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Well,
anyway,
Marasov
back to
certainly
Osiris.
seems to think he has depth.
So she seems to think he has depth and
Marasov
girth.
has depth. Marasov has depth. Shax has girth.
Yeah, that seems more apt. Yeah.
And length, apparently.
Anyway,
And the
talking
helmet
about Chris of
stayed
Osiris,
on.
we said we were going to let
Right.
you do it, and then we didn't.
See, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Chris Osiris.
Curse of
Curse
Osiris.
of
Yeah,
Osiris.
Chris
I heard-
Osiris.
Curse of
I
Osiris.
heard Chris
Works
Osiris.
in Chris Osiris. He works in accounting.
He works in
Anyway.
accounting.
So I didn't play Destiny 2 until New Light, so I don't actually know which one came first between Curse of Osiris and,
Curse of Osiris.
and-
Curse of
First
Osiris was
expansion was
first.
Curse of Osiris.
so Curse of Osiris then would be the second expansion.
Technically, it's the first expansion. The Red War was the vanilla
So the
campaign.
first expansion. Yeah. Okay. So you you have to talk to Brother Vance. Unfortunately.
I don't know why.
You have to talk to Brother Vance.
Steve's over here laughing because it's like we're all like, we
He's the
hate this
most
character.
fucking
I mean,
annoying. Like he's the only character that I hate more than Aldrin Saw.
I assume having to
I
talk to Brother
definitely hate
Vance
Aldrin more
it's the
than him.
equivalent. It's the equivalent of like Skyrim going, "Hey, remember the guy Heimskir that stands in the middle of Whiterun and talks about Talos all the time?"
That's
Guess
actually a
what?
pretty
Yeah.
decent
Guess
comparison.
what? You have to go get a quest from him now. Go do it.
It's a pretty decent comparison. Only instead of
It is a
having
pretty
a
decent
Scandinavian accent, he has like a definitely fake, like high society British accent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100% fake.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he's every word that he says is just him
Perhaps
sucking
So-
Osiris's dick.
will
So he's a
bless
little
us
bit
with
more like
knowledge.
Confessor Cromwell then.
A little bit
A
more.
little bit,
yes.
yeah.
The
but he's
power of
constantly,
Adam.
but he's constantly talking about replace Adam with Osiris, and yeah, basically that's it.
Mm-hmm. The
Um,
great
Yeah, okay.
Osiris has shown me this.
Yeah, and and some of the things that he says to you, where he's like acting like he's better than you because he knows more about Osiris than you. I'm like, but I've actually talked to the guy, so
Yeah, right.
um,
It's like, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Osiris said I was the best guardian, so fuck off.
Vance isn't even a guardian; he's just a pussy. Anyway,
He
uh,
really is.
so the beginning of Curse of Osiris, you find uh Osiris's ghost. I think isn't that how it starts?
Yura.
And
Yeah,
she
and she takes over your ghost.
kind of hijacks your
Yeah,
ghost.
she hijacks your ghost.
That doesn't
Uh,
sound right.
he gets he has some dialogue about it later where he talks about I feel violated.
I bet you do, Nolan.
What's funny is Sagira's response to basically like, as you should.
Yeah. So Osiris is basically the fucking time traveler of Destiny. And by
He's-
time
he's-
traveler, I mean time
Yeah.
conqueror.
He's like crazy Nick Cage of the science mage. He's like next level. He has an
Yeah.
understanding of the light that nobody else does because he's conquered a Vex time machine thing, and he's effectively between all of his echoes, which is he can just like make copies of himself using the light. So all of his research, he's basically got like a million years of study that he's done playing around with light powered tech. Like basically like light powered Vex tech, and Vex do not adhere to the laws of physics. But at this point, neither really does Osiris.
Yeah. So basically you meet Sagira, who is Osiris's ghost. You end up having to go on like a bunch of quests and shit with her, and you have her instead of your ghost. You're basically trying to get Osiris's big portal on Mercury to work again.
I just
and then
every
you go
time you
into
say
it.
Sagira, I just think Shakira, and it's
Sagira.
yeah, basically.
Anyway, you once you get the fucking
baby,
portal
when you
fixed,
talk like
she's like,
that.
you gotta go in there now, and I'm like, why? And then she's like, Osiris. I'm like, okay.
Open
and then
open the
eventually,
space anus and walk in.
No, the
Uh,
space anus is definitely
no.
the gate to the Black Garden.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, isn't the portal on Mercury? That's that you
No, that doesn't
into
go to the
fucking-
Black Garden.
Okay,
No,
well, I
that's
didn't know
sorry, that goes to the White Garden.
Oh no, that goes to the something forest,
Goes to the Infinite Forest.
Infinite Forest. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So basically,
It has nothing to do with the
Osiris,
Forest whatsoever.
Osiris is in the Infinite Forest with like thousands, well, probably millions of echoes of himself, which he's using.
Research, yo.
Yeah, which he's using to research the light and the Vex. And then apparently he came across like this fucking crazy powerful Vex that's threatening to destroy all of the universe, essentially. Or take over.
Effectively, yeah, and this
Effectively.
entity's name is Panoptes, which I
Yeah.
don't know how familiar you are with Greek history.
So the goal of the Vex is to become a law of the universe, so that the universe cannot exist without the Vex also existing.
Right. Right.
But they don't care
Okay,
how
then.
badly they fuck up everyone else in order to accomplish that.
They're
Why
machines.
would
They have
Why
no
would
need
they? If you
for.
make that decision, if you make the decision that that's going to be your ultimate goal, you can't care about anybody else.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
then you will not accomplish your vision.
Yeah.
Ironically, that's also the Hive's goal.
Yeah, which is it's
Yeah.
funny because the Hive are the only people that are like, finally, well, the opponent is to the Vex.
Yeah, is the
So
Vex. Yep.
P2 where they're like, okay, maybe you're also a worthy opponent because you've killed like all of their gods at this point.
Yeah. So,
The one thing I liked about Shadowkeep was them basically admitting, maybe our gods were wrong.
yeah.
Seeing as how they're all dead.
I mean, going by the Hive sword logic, like I'm
That
king.
should technically make the
know what I
Guardians
mean?
your gods now.
Yeah, it's like I'm king, I'm God. What's up? kill yourself because I don't want you
Well,
around
the
anymore.
difference there, you don't actually want to be god of the hive because it means that they all strive to consume you.
Yeah. True.
Wow.
Back to
Wow.
Osiris.
That
But
sounds
yeah,
like a
back
really
to
bad.
Osiris.
Panoptes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
The important thing to know about the Vex is all of their things are named after like ancient Greek mythological creatures or entities. So again, Panoptes is the 100-eyed giant. I know you took Greek mythology, but just I don't remember if you remember who Panoptes was.
Well, yeah,
That sounds like
all the
one
Vex
of the
gangs
weird.
are called like goblins and hobgoblins and minotaurs and
yeah.
cyclopses and shit like that.
Harpies, gorgons,
Yeah. So I
hydras.
really had a lot
There
of
is
fun
one
with
difference.
Curse of Osiris though.
There's the Templar and Atheon. Those are not Greek.
Yeah, those. I think Atheon. I'm pretty sure Atheon is a original name. Most Vex super bosses are the insert cool word mind.
Yeah, pretty much. So after you end up finding Osiris, I'm pretty sure after that point you still have to hang out with Sagira for a little while before she goes back to Osiris, because he's like, no, go away, I'm busy, fuck off.
He sends the two of you on a couple missions because effectively, you find this out later. He's in a stalemate with Panoptes.
Yeah. And then you show
you
up
break it.
so conveniently to tip the scale in his favor. So conveniently, right as he was about to give up, which is why Sagiro came and find you, or came to find you, because Osiris started to doubt himself.
Which intrinsically would mean that Panoptes is going to win. Because it's one of those like battle of wills things. Because it literally is a mind versus a mind when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But one of my favorite parts about it is there's to like near the beginning, before you even meet Osiris, when you're still hanging out with Sagira, you have to go run around on Earth to these different like cult base areas, the cult of Osiris, basically.
Yeah, which is funny because again, Osiris has nothing to do with.
Yeah, it's basically just a bunch of people
Just
like Brother
fanboys.
Vance. It's just a bunch of Brother Vance, pretty much.
Yeah, but they're all at least quieter about their simping.
Yeah. However, the fucking
Well,
fun
to
thing
be
is,
fair, the government of the city started murdering them en masse. So
That is something I
at some
didn't
point
know.
they're like,
Yeah,
maybe we should shut the fuck up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
Meanwhile, Vance being Heimsker is like, let me show you the power of Osiris.
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
when you get to those like cultist bases, they're all dead. Everyone's dead, and it's like, oh, it was the Fallen, and then you just like fight some Fallen, and then you go back to Mercury. Like, that's pretty much it. And then you go to Mercury and you start doing the fucking shit for Osiris. But then you go through different like times of the Vex. So there's the precursor Vex, the descendant Vex, and then the regular Vex. The precursor Vex are all old and like rusty. The descendant Vex are all shiny.
No, the
No?
precursors are the old
old
shiny.
divisive or the rusty
The
ones that
gold
have
and
like
white
crazy
ones.
going on.
Yeah,
The
those
Okay,
are the
precursors
well, I
are
had it
the
backwards then.
original Vex. They're like fresh off the line.
Okay, well I had it
Super
backwards.
shiny silver and gold.
Okay, well,
The soul
whatever.
divisive are the ones that look all rotted and broken down.
Because they're basically like those are the ones that belong to the
No,
Black
not
Garden,
those ones.
and
I'm
they're,
not
like,
talking about the
made
Black
out of
Garden
stone.
ones. I'm talking about the ones in Curse of Osiris, the rusty ones and the shiny ones.
The shiny ones
The
are the
rusty ones are
precursors.
Okay,
descendant.
The
so I
descendant
just had
are
them
the
backwards.
rusty ones.
That's all, right? I just had
Yep.
those backwards. Yeah, okay. So the shiny ones are the precursor Vex, and the descendant Vex are the rusty ones.
Back in time a
significant So
amount of time.
like enough time for a Dark Souls cycle of fire.
Yeah. Like no joke. It's gone a significant amount of time backwards.
Like hundreds of thousands of years backwards.
Mm-hmm.
fucking, but Osiris is the one facilitating all this time travel, and you get to see like the same area all fucked up, and then all like brand new. And then I
Formed and
think
brand new.
don't you meet uh Saint 14 in the Infinite Forest as well?
That's much later, but
What
yeah.
the fuck?
It is
This guy
later,
looks
but
absolutely bonkers.
who?
Osiris.
Oh yeah. Are you seeing him with the helmet on or without?
Both.
Okay, yeah, he looks way better without the helmet on, if you ask me. Because his helmet's all feathery and weird.
This guy's a mad lad.
But yeah, look up Saint 14 real quick.
Yeah, Saint 14. I like Saint 14 because he's basically space Gopnik.
He's Osiris's best
Yeah.
friend.
Osiris's best friend,
Yes.
Saint 14. Yep.
What
He's-
the? F-
Yeah, Saint
looks-
14, aka Space Gopnik.
He looks like Leggett Lanius from Fallout.
And
Yeah.
he talk like a Russian man.
He's a giant Russian ass kicker. His thing is drink booze, headbutt enemies.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
much.
literally it.
His life
He's
motto is
Space Gopnik.
his life motto is I'm only here to have fun, shoot guns, and drink all your whiskey.
I'm deeply offended because they brought him back he's the new Curse of Osiris, not Curse of Osiris. He's the Trials of Osiris vendor, and he's standing, at his ship. I'm super offended that you don't just like hear distant Russian hard bass coming from his ship, because he totally seems like the guy who would just like he's coming in for a landing, and you just hear just like a bunch of crazy Russian hard bass just
Yeah.
from
So
his ship.
like, if Osiris is an absolute mad lad, this guy would have to be his best buddy, right?
Yeah.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
Every super crazy science man needs a drunk headbutting best friend.
Yeah. But the boss fight of Panoptes, it really makes you feel like you're not the one doing all the work. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
basically just
Well, it shows you that stalemate between Osiris and Panoptes, and the difference is Osiris now has his secret weapon, you, because every guardian has paracausal capabilities, which means they can change fate.
Right.
So you're just that little bit extra weight on his side of the fulcrum, and with having you, he is able to make Panoptes vulnerable. But because of what it takes to do that, he can't fight Panoptes. He has to sit there and hold that. So if he were to try to do that and fight Panoptes, it's just this eternal stalemate, because it's these two immortals who have to disable one another to attack each other, but they can't attack each other because they have to hold the disability that the other is vulnerable. So they're in this like infinite stalemate, and then you come along and you get into this situation where like now Osiris has a weapon that he can throw at Panoptes while Panoptes is vulnerable.
Yeah, and that weapon is you.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the reason I like it is because it shows you that you're really not as powerful as you think. Because
Yeah, it's one of those like you might be the protagonist, and generally speaking, the protagonist is groomed to be like you're the most powerful, crazy thing ever. This shows you with gentle humility, you're not the biggest bad out there. There are
Yeah.
badder asses
To
than
be
you.
honest, Oryx showed you that for a
True,
while.
Oryx is
Oryx did show
was
you that for a
really-
while.
really like genuinely like badass fucking
Yeah,
boss.
Oryx was the first enemy who was like actually truly menacing. Oh, I will be honest, that was kind
we
of
talked about
killed
Curse of
me.
Osiris for a long time.
I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about
That was kind of
on-
to go back to Taken King really quick. What you said about Oryx, the whole thing is like, oh, the Awoken weren't able to do any damage to his ship, and then he just blows them up, and it's like, oh, the Awoken were these super advanced like, magic science people, and it's like, oh no, if the Awoken can't hurt him, then who can? Meanwhile, you have the Cabal who just fucking and just slam his ship with their ship and just break through the hull of his ship. And they're like, "Congratulations, we crashed our cruiser into your ship, and now we have a beachhead."
Yeah,
Yep.
literally.
The
That's
fuck?
exact.
I love.
They have.
I'm
they
like,
bring out a
how
whole
come
tank
the
too.
Awoken shot super magic at him, and it was just like, nah, my armor too strong. Meanwhile,
You
the
know
Cabal
why?
are just like, punch it.
Here's
The
the
Cabal,
reason
the
why that
Cabal are
works.
like, let's do some research. What tactic works best? What is this thing called America?
Yeah, more or less.
Oh,
Mm,
just
Mechanica
hit
is
it.
Space Texas, and the Cabal is
Okay.
Space Merca.
Okay. Yeah, but
What was the moment that I was like, if there had ever been any doubt that the Cabal are not a parody of Warhammer 40k,
Oh
just
my
a race.
god.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're 100% a
It's
Warhammer
like,
parody.
how would the Space Marines of the Imperium deal with? Because they spend all this time being like, you get on the ship and it's like, oh, the ship's made out of this material from the Hive's home solar system called hadium, and hadium is stronger than any metal we've ever seen before. And it's like, okay, but we've seen the Cabal. And when you first get onto the ship, the Cabal have already punched a giant hole in it by ramming their ship into the ship.
And then
Yeah.
they've, on top of that, they have deployed tanks.
yes.
Yeah.
It's like, I.
We're gonna make
Yeah,
a
you
giant
show
hole
up
in
and
it,
it's
and then
just
we're
like-
gonna drive tanks through the hole.
Yeah, but
The Cabal are basically the Cabal is like, how do you outsmart an opponent? And the answer is give them so many bullets they can't dodge.
how do you? I have. Some people think they can outsmart me.
all right, class.
have
Here's
yet
the quarterly
see some
exam. Everybody turn in your quarterly exam. Cabal, you answered punch for every question.
You get 100%.
You answered fireball for every question.
Yeah, more
What's your
accurately.
point, person within fireball distance?
All right. Let's not steal other YouTubers' content.
I cast magic.
Going,
missile.
going
I'm
forward with
trying
Destiny
to.
2. Going
So
forward with
then we
Destiny
have
2.
the
After
horrid
So now, if you
tragedy,
want to go and talk shit
travesty
about how awful the rest
of
of it is,
Warmind.
I honestly, I
Before-
don't really
didn't
want.
hate
I want to
Warmind,
spend as little
honestly.
time on Warmind as possible because it was a
I
huge
mean,
disappointment.
Well,
There-
okay
it
then.
is a
For the
huge
benefit of
disappointment,
me,
but-
can you fucking tell me what it is?
Okay,
Can I cover this one?
Um,
Can I cover this one?
fine.
I can do this simply and succinctly, and we are getting a little on in time here.
It's true. We are like an
Mhm.
hour and 45 minutes in.
Oh
So-
my god! Why can't I jump up?
We told you about Crota. We told you about Oryx. They're ascendant hive. The hive consider them gods. Well, these gods get their power from things called the worms, which are just like these
The
panic.
worm gods.
Yeah, the
Which
worm
are like the
gods.
gods of the gods.
Are they just worms? Are they just literally
well,
fucking
they-
worms?
Yes, but
very
they're
large, very
also
powerful.
They
like
can take on different
a
forms.
big dough.
Okay, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. They're worms.
They're worms
Yes.
with super ancient dark magics, basically, and they give the hive their powers. So,
Okay, but they're
we've seen
worms.
in Destiny 1, there's various different things where it's like they made references to an entity called Zol. Zol is one of the worm gods. In the Warmind expansion, you learn a lot more about the Warmind, whose name is Rasputin. And he's kind of been this like he's off on the side, maybe he's friendly, maybe he's not, sort of a thing. And then Warmind, it basically cements like he's gonna do his own thing, but he's on your side. He will not bow.
Yeah.
But at the end of Warmind, you fight Zol. So the thing is, Crota got a raid. Rex got a raid. Zol is supposed to be more powerful than both of them combined. He's supposed to be like crazy, like what do we
He is
call it?
literally supposed to be a force of. He's supposed to be like
A universal force
how
of
do you
nature.
Even, yeah, he's like a universal force.
He's like the
part of-
Celestials
fair-
from Marvel.
to be
He's like
fair, they do
part
an-
of the universe's natural order.
To be fair, they do a
He's
really
part of the
good.
yang of the universe.
They do a really good job.
And then he doesn't. He's just a strike boss. He's just big worm. You
What does
just
that-
shoot at him
what
for
does
5
that-
minutes. And
what
it's
does
like,
that
haha, he
mean?
died.
Weak point.
What the fuck is a
So,
strike boss?
A strike is basically just like you
It's mission
with a
plus.
fire team of 3 people go into a slightly more difficult mission and do a slightly more difficult objective.
Yeah.
So
And
it's a
most
mini
of the time
raid.
you can solo those.
Yeah, it's a
Here's
mini
the
raid.
crazy
Yeah,
thing,
it's
'cause
a
I do it all the
mini
time.
raid.
You can do
Solo
a
is easy as hell, though.
strike solo.
You can easy
You can do
solo a
strike
strike
solo.
though.
Yeah.
Zol isn't even that hard. Like he has no mechanics. It's just he makes the ground burn occasionally. So you just stand on one of the things that are nearby
Yeah,
and
just
you keep
stand
shooting at him.
somewhere else.
Okay,
He
but he
doesn't have-
is a
Well-
literal fucking worm.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah, but
supposed
he's
to have
supposed
like
to be a
super
god.
crazy. He's basically Cthulhu. He's supposed to have like crazy
Yeah.
ancient super
Yeah, actually,
magic.
that's a way better description. He is a great old one. That's what the
Yeah.
worm gods are.
Uh-huh.
They
Yeah.
are the great old ones.
Uh-huh.
They
He's-
are the
he's-
gods
and then
before
there's
the
no-
gods before the gods before the gods.
There's no he has a throne world, which is what those pocket dimension phylacteries are called. It's
Yeah,
called
yeah.
throne world. It's just
So-
no, you shoot him and he die.
Well, it
Yeah.
just so happens you
To
found
be
the old
fair,
god in his
you
retirement
also turn
home.
him in. You also
Didn't
turn
catch
him
what
into
Beard
a
said?
sniper rifle later.
Yeah.
Wait. You turn him into a sniper rifle?
Yep.
That's
I
the
carve
most,
out your corpse and I make
That's
gun.
the most Warhammer 40k fucking thing ever.
Okay, no, you,
No, the
that
Warhammer thing
sniper
would be if
rifle
you just
literally
burn it
punches
away
you.
and then create a weapon that could kill another one if you found one. Because Warhammer, they would be heresy to save any part of him.
Yeah. So the
Which is why I like
Well,
the
for
Cabal, because they're like
that
the
would be
Cabal are
heresy
the
to
Cabal.
to the Imperium. It wouldn't be heresy to the other groups, though.
No, of course not. But yeah, I suppose that's fair. If you were any of the other groups other than the Imperium, it would would be fitting for
You're just
Warhammer.
like, oh, you kill a
Typically
giant.
the Tyrannid.
You kill a giant space worm and turn him into a gun. That's fucking metal as fuck. What do you mean this expansion sucks?
So
Expansion sucks because they're like, oh, we got this super cool story to tell you, and then they don't tell you a story.
Yeah, that's the main problem.
to be
But
fair,
giant
though,
space
The other
worm
thing,
gun.
so in the Taken King, when you get to Oryx, outside of his throne room, there are 2 giant statues that are affixed to the wall. One is a image of Crota, and he's he's Oryx's son, and then the other one is Noctis, who you've never heard of before because you've never been your guardian doesn't know much about the lore of the Hive. But you, with the lore cards and whatnot that you get, you understand Nocris is Oryx's other son. You're like, oh, okay, so he's probably going to be roughly on the same level as Crota.
Well, not only that. Here's the thing you got to understand about Nocris.
He has been
Oryx's other son, who
exiled
was so
from the
fucking
Hive.
evil that the most evil people in the universe said, "You are too evil for us. Go away."
right,
Yeah.
and then he's a
They
strike boss.
basically they exhumed him from the world's grave, so his Wikipedia page got deleted. They burned his birth certificate, but Oryx still keeps an image of him outside because that's his boy.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
so
then
proud of his son, I
Nocris
bet.
is even Nocris is a better
He's not
boss
proud
than
of it.
Zol because he has a mechanic, but he's still
Yeah, he
a
has a
terrible
gimmick.
boss.
But he's still a strike boss, yeah.
And like I understand via power creep, by the time you get to Nocris, he probably actually is as powerful as Crota. But by the time you get to him, you're just so much more powerful that it's like, whatever, I shoot you for 2 minutes and you die.
I don't know, man. Because
He also doesn't get a phylactery.
I
Never
got
says anything. There's no
well, that's
character
not
to
true.
him. It's just
I don't know
Hive
how much you've played in
Necromancer.
the more recent seasons. Nocris did. So first of all, Nocris did not have a phylactery at all because of the power he used prevented him from having a phylactery.
A
But his soul did survive.
real
was
quick,
was scooped up by Savathun, which you haven't heard about yet. He's one of
Savathun
Oryx's
is
sisters.
Oryx's sister, so his dear auntie.
So,
And she
fucking-
basically kept him from dying.
really quick.
So Nocris is still
Mhm.
around.
Really quick, Warmind
Okay.
has my favorite Destiny waifu in it, Anna Bray.
Who's gay, by the way. Because she's Asian, yet for some
hella
reason
gay.
she's Russian.
Yeah,
how do
she's
you, how do
Asian,
you,
but for some reason
ha-
she's Russian.
how do you spell that?
Anna with two N's.
ANA.
Bray.
He's gonna look up.
Two N's.
He's gonna look up Anna Bray body pillow.
Bray. Bray. She's like
Basically, you
Asian-
can't have her because
Asian
she'd
girl.
be lesbian.
where-
Oh,
no,
yeah, she also has the lesbian fringe.
Yep.
Just like that, our channel got deleted.
Yeah.
What?
And
What do
then
you-
there were
what?
two.
We're a bunch of men stereotyping a lesbian.
Look,
That is just fair.
look,
That's
they don't
fair.
call it the
Look, she's hot.
bisexual Bob for no reason, okay?
They don't what?
They don't call it the bisexual Bob for no reason.
Fair,
Yeah,
but I don't
fair.
think I've ever heard anyone call it that.
They have. I don't know. It looks kind of a bit Karen to me, to be honest, but she does not have any Karen vibes.
I don't know. I like her voice too.
Yeah, I really like the Braytech weapons. Those are pretty fucking
Yeah.
cool. But yeah. So after
except for
that was
Polaris is
Forsaken,
bullshit.
which is an edgy name for an edgy campaign. So the important thing, do you know who Nathan Fillion is? The voice actor / actor.
Before you
Yeah.
talk about the Forsaken, real quick, I just want to make mention that in Destiny 2, they changed the entire style of how they tell storytelling, and we're not doing things from expansion to expansion anymore. Every 3 months, you get a new season. You buy a season pass, and there's always some functionality within the season that helps push the story forward.
Which
When
annoys
an
me that they call it a
expansion-
season pass.
That sounds like
Because
some
most
money.
every other game out there,
grubbing
it's like this is the
bastards.
season pass, and it means you'll get all the expansions that we make from this time to that time. Pretty much everything we currently have planned. But with Destiny 2, no, your season pass means it's your bread
You
ticket
can
for this
play-
month.
Yeah. You can play all the new stuff we made for the next 3 months. To be fair, part of the reason they did that was because after Forsaken and
Split from
Shadow
Activision, so they didn't have
Shadowkeep.
Shadowkeep.
or Shadowkeep.
They split from Activision, so they didn't have like all that money coming in because they didn't have a production studio
That-
behind them.
Mhm.
It's still a shit system.
and they couldn't put more stuff in the game really because it was pretty much at capacity. So they had to keep rotating shit out to make it.
Oh, I'll
shit
get to
go
that
on.
too. Like, I want to like really quickly go through. I'm gonna just brush over it as briefly as possible, so we can catch him up to like the current. Well, not current because I haven't played any of Beyond Light because I gave up on it, but up to Shadowkeep, so that I can start breaking down what the problem I had with it was, because that's everything that I actually have written down. That's what I was wanting to talk about this entire time. So
Okay.
with Forsaken, it starts out. I mentioned Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion is the voice actor of Cade 6. Cade 6 is one of the fan favorite characters because he's this happy-go-lucky space vigilante, kind of cowboy-esque character. He's got that Deadpool kind of feel where he's like, I this is my thing. I do my thing. Everybody's cool with it.
I
He's
do
got
what I want.
quirky one-liners. He's the fun character.
Mhm.
Zavala is the straight man
He's
to
the
Cade's
stoic-
jokester.
He's the stoic. We must keep our honor character.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
the very
God.
he's
And then you
he's
have
not even
Lord
military minded. He's just like he's the guy who constantly has the weight of I have to protect the race of humanity.
He's Mr.
Like,
Boring. I get it.
Yeah.
We call him Big Blue because he big, he blue, and he's sad. Yeah, Cade, who's ironically also blue.
And also
He's
yellow.
the fun guy who's got a crazier, slightly sketchier history, and he's like, yeah, I've been places, I've done things, I'm all about this. And then you have the middle is Ikora, and she's the smart one. But yeah, at the beginning of Forsaken, David mentioned Varix in the House of Judgment earlier. Varix in the Reef keeps a facility called the Prison of Elders, where he keeps basically the galaxy's most wanted criminals, more or less. I don't want to spend more time on it than that. At the beginning of Forsaken, there is an attack on the Prison of Elders. So you and Cade, you the player character, and Cade 6 meet up with Petrovenge to put a stop to it. At the end of the first mission of Forsaken in this prison break, Aldrin Sov kills Cade. He has these 7 beings called the Scorn leaders, and Scorn are
the Scorn
the
Barons.
Scorn
Yeah.
Barons. Scorn are basically undead fallen, and the fallen species is called Elixini. Like, we don't call ourselves Earthlings, we call ourselves humans. And that's important to remember that they're called Elixini, because I'm gonna get to that later on as well. So yeah, one of the Elixini has a rifle that has paracausal capabilities. So when Cade pulls out his ghost,
Does Steve know what paracausal means?
I explained that earlier. It means you can twist and change fate. You're not bound by, ironically, destiny. You can change things that are meant to be.
with bullets.
Well, I mean, it
Usually.
happens to be a weapon, but if you have paracausal capability, it doesn't necessarily have to be a weapon. His weapon has paracausal capability, which is inconsistent, because that means you should die when he shoots you with it, but you can just keep playing the mission. Although it is a darkness zone, so you have to respawn in the classical sense. It's not like the typical Destiny respawn where you just get up again. Anyway, so Cade pulls out his ghost, because they basically just sort of transmat in and out of being a full computer or having like a physical shell, which they make the joke that he lives in your backpack. But it's kind of like Cortana, where he's like a chip in your head, more or less, but he actually has a physical form when he wants to.
Uh-huh.
Because his shell, his body, is made out of a programmable matter called glimmer, which if you saw one of the Transformers movies, they talk a lot about programmable matter, but it
Why are you
doesn't matter,
bringing Transformers into this?
because they give a decent explanation of what programmable matter means. But yeah, so he pulls his ghost out, and it's unclear whether or not he's trying to say, "Please heal me, I'm about to die," or if he's like, "Get me out of here." He's just, all he says is, "Hey, help me out, buddy." And then the sniper, as this Baron is called, blows up his ghost, which renders him lightless. So he doesn't die immediately, but it means the next time he dies, he dies.
Yeah,
So
he
then
won't
he
come
gets the
back.
There's no
shit
coming
beaten
back.
out of him by the Barons, and then Aldrin takes his gun and shoots him in the face with it.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
You
And
mentioned
then-
Nathan Fillion earlier. I assume you want to mention the drama of why they actually killed Cade.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
they killed Kate off. Decision came for that to be a relevant thing in the story, because they didn't want to pay Nathan Fillion's asking price, is just his standard rate. Everybody else that he does work for was paying him. They were like, "Well, we don't want to pay that anymore. We want to pay you like 2/3 of that." And he was like, "Well, that's the price for which I work. So, I've been happy to work with you this whole time. I don't see what the issue is." They were like, "We just don't want to pay you that much anymore." So he's like,
Well,
"Okay,
see,
well, I don't
Activision
have
cut
to
us
continue
off,
working with you."
so
More or less,
No,
yeah.
no, Activision.
Well, no,
straight up
Activision
said,
was around for
"We
Forsaken.
refuse."
Activision was the one behind the whole thing of we just don't
Oh,
want to pay you
Nathan.
that much anymore.
Yeah, because
I
after
Yeah, no,
see.
it wasn't.
Forsaken,
It
you got
wasn't
New
Bungie
Light,
that
and
told him
then you
that. It was
got
Activision that
Shadowkeep.
told him that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Cade 6 that you get in Forsaken is actually voiced by Nolan North, who's the same voice as your ghost. First time you play it, you probably won't notice unless you're like really into, like, hey, that doesn't quite sound like Nathan Fillion. North has a pretty good Fillion impression.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, then
Nolan
that's it.
North did
Cade's
a
dead.
fucking
So
North is
the
amazing
pretty good at
voice
expansion
everything.
of Forsaken. Did you say?
I said Nolan
said
North
North
is a
has a-
fucking amazing voice actor.
Yeah,
He
he's
is.
got
He's incredible.
range, boy.
But yeah, so the rest of the campaign of Forsaken is you hunting down and systematically assassinating each of the barons to get revenge on them being involved in Cade's death, until you finally hunt down Aldrin. Now, during the course of the campaign, it'll occasionally show you what Aldrin's up to, and he has this like ghost of Marasov, essentially, that's like talking to him and being like, "Bring me back, bring me back." So he's like, "Anything for you, Beyonce."
Beyonce.
Well, it's an old vine where she's like, "Bring the beat in," and then this woman brings a beat in on a plate, and she's like, "Anything for you, Beyonce." But it's the same energy. 'Cause he simps for his sister, which is freaky and weird. But yeah, so he's doing all these crazy, horrible things because he believes it'll bring Mara back. Then at the end, it turns out he's been tricked by Mara's wish dragon, Riven. And this is the part where he ends up inside of a wish dragon's booty hole. Fallen have these machines called servitors, and they're called a servitor because they serve out ether, which Elixir need to survive. The Riven has corrupted a servitor and turned it, I believe it was called the mouth of Riven, or was it the voice of Riven or something like that?
Well, I think you should understand. I think you should explain what taking is.
They call it a chimera. That's what the
Yeah, it's they call it a chimera, but so Oryx had this ability where he could take you, which means he steals your will and he turns you into something else, which essentially just means you keep your character model, but now you have negative colors instead. So a chimera is a taken servitor. Yeah, because he's stolen your will. You basically you're part of the hive mind. And I mean that in the classical sense, not like, oh, he said hive. But yeah, so the chimera is a taken servitor that was taken by Riven, because Riven being a wish dragon, having access to ridiculous superpowers on the scale of what we were told Zol would have, because the wish dragons, or Ahamkara, the Ahamkara and the worm gods are effectively apex predators that are competing with each other, the same way that a tiger and a jaguar would compete with each other. Just on a much higher scale, where it's like there's now intelligence and magic involved. But yeah, so Aldrin is eaten by this servitor, and then you kill the servitor, and Aldrin comes out of it, and then you kill Aldrin using Cade's gun. It's like, fuck you, I've avenged Cade. And then at the very end, they do a very MCU style post credits cutscene where a ghost shows up to Aldrin's corpse, who you return to the Awoken, because he was technically still their prince. So a ghost shows up and awakens Aldrin's body, which pissed me the fuck off to no end, because it's like, no, I don't care. I'm going to go find the sniper's rifle, and we're going to blow up that ghost, and then we're going to put Aldrin's body back in the ground, because I don't care if it's somebody else now. That body belongs in the dirt. I don't ever want to see Aldrin again, even if it's not Aldrin. I feel like in
such a nicer character, though. I've seen cutscenes with him.
Yeah, but it feels like they do that to spit in people like me's face, who are like, I know about all the behind the scenes stuff, and so I'm just salty about the narrative. So it feels like they brought Crow back, and Crow's like, I just want to be like, accepted. And it feels like they do that to spit in our face.
I feel
That's what
like
it feels like.
we wouldn't be in this situation if Activision weren't greedy assholes, and we would have had an.
We wouldn't be in this situation if Activision weren't greedy assholes, and if Bungie had the clarity to tell a good story
without making you have to go to 6 other websites to get the story.
Right. We're not gonna talk about the
one other website, but still, like, I didn't buy the game so that I can read a Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So hang on. So his character, his post revival character is called the Crow.
Yep. I know where you're going with this, and I agree.
That's so fitting.
Yep. It is. What's funny is the Crow's character does not fit the name, but the name definitely fits Aldrin.
Oh my god. Dave, do
like,
you know?
He dressed different. I think he had like a haircut.
A group called the Crows when he was Aldrin.
Yeah, they basically their rogue squadron was called the Crows, and Aldrin was their.
Dave, do you know who the Crow is?
I don't.
Oh my god! Go to
He's
Google.
He's a musician, and
Google
Aldrin definitely looks like the Crow.
Just look up the Crow. And you'll see exactly what we're talking
musician,
about.
Because you might get just like a bunch of pictures of Aldrin if you don't.
No, I guarantee you won't. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh Jesus!
It's
like, hey, look, it's 90s Aldrin.
It's so fitting for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 90s. It's 90s all dress.
Oh,
Oh
man.
my god!
Is this like a DC superhero character?
Yeah,
Something
kind
like
of.
that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh no.
So
Oh,
anyway, they
I
did
forgot
that,
about
and Forsaken brought a lot of
Oh,
interesting
man.
mechanics that did kind of make the game a little bit better. Like they refreshed, they reworked the way weapons and armors worked a little bit, and that was kind of nice. But the story was like, you know,
it was
a
lackluster.
lot of people who had been playing since Destiny 1 quit after Forsaken because it was like, I just don't like where the story's going, and I'm not a big PvP player.
Yeah, well, I quit
Then
after
Shadowkeep
Shadowkeep.
came
We all
out.
quit after Shadowkeep because after
I was
Shadowkeep,
actually really excited for Shadowkeep
no
because
one
we got to go back to the moon. We get to see what the Hive have been up to on the moon. It's the first time we've seen Eris Morn in Destiny 2, what she's been
Guys,
up
it's
to
a
this
Hive
whole time.
expansion that's actually decent.
At the end of the Red War campaign, the default campaign, when the Traveler wakes up, it shoots out this huge wave of light, and you get to see the camera pans farther and farther and farther away from all these different angles until you get to see
Oh yeah.
outside of the goddamn galaxy is how big this wave of light is. And this wave of light goes over this fleet of pyramid-shaped ships that wake up to this wave of light, and they start headed towards the Milky Way galaxy. These pyramids, each individually, are like an anti-traveler. These are like the physical manifestation of the darkness. So we get to meet several of these in Shadowkeep. Initially, just on the moon. Then in Season of Arrivals, they show up over a bunch of other ones as well. Because and that does make sense, I will admit, because we saw a fleet. So why, and they all turn. So why would we only just have the one? But the weird thing is, the one on the moon apparently has been there this whole time.
Mhm.
The other ones that show up was that fleet. So I guess the moon is the one that like chased the Traveler down in the first place, pre-game Destiny 1. But so the thing that irks me the most about Shadowkeep is there is a campaign mission that you can replay as a strike called the Scarlet Keep, which is this big, evil-looking Barad-dûr tower that is constructed by the Hive. Now, the Hive are currently being led off-screen by Oryx's sister, whose name is escaping me at the moment, Leonus, if you will.
Savathun.
Yes, Savathun. We also get to meet in this campaign mission Hashladun, who is directly told to us that she is Crota's daughter. Now, we've already seen that while the Hive do not have affection in the same way that humans do, that there is a "you are my family" and that intrinsically holds value. There are still familial ties. It's not just "what are you worth to me," which it is for the most part, but there is still a "you are automatically worth something because you're my blood."
Yeah.
We killed Crota. We killed Oryx. We killed
We killed
Omnigul.
Omnigul. Yeah, her mom, her
So
dad, her grandpa.
Hashladun's parents were Crota and Omnigul. And there's a couple different versions of dialogue that you can get in this mission / strike, but one of them is Eris Morn on comms, telling you when you reach a certain spot in the mission that Hashladun watched from the sidelines as you killed her father, her grandfather, her mother, and she is eager to return the pain that you have inflicted upon her. Everything that Eris Morn says that directly is about Hashladun and not just like all the Hive are envious of you because the darkness has spoken to you, etc. And like they hate you, etc. Anything that's directly about Hashladun sets her up to where she should have been as much of a main character in the plot line as Eris Morn. The campaign, you're running errands for Eris Morn, who is tortured by these phantoms, they're called. What is that, Mitch McConnell crow?
Someone put Crow there and then said the Crow after the Dawning event.
All right. Anyway, so where was I? Right. So Eris Morn is tortured by the phantoms of her former fire team that died way back to Crota. And so they're just like these like red humanoid ghosts, basically, not like your ghost, but like a ghost classically. And they whisper things to her and they make her feel terrible about, they give her some serious survivor syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of the
Like,
way that the lore establishes how Nightmare works, Hosh-Ladun should at least be tormented by a phantom, a ghost of Omnigul, if nothing else.
dude, we do see a phantom of Crota and Oryx,
Yep,
don't we?
that's where I was going next. Her father was Crota. One of the big nightmares that you have to overcome in the expansion is the nightmare of Crota. She Firstborn interacts with her phantoms occasionally as if they were real. She's constantly reminding herself, "You're not real. You're just a nightmare. You died a long time ago." Hosh-Ladun, every bit of lore that Eris gives us about Hosh-Ladun is she's nobody wants to watch their parents die. Nobody wants to watch their parents be murdered, more specifically. So there's there's no reason to backtrack to the Red War. Gaul was an excellent villain because we got to see his side of the story. We understood who he was by the time we beat him, and we felt more accomplished because it wasn't just he is final boss of vanilla campaign. Shoot him and he die. It was we're not just fighting him, we're fighting his motives.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the Hive. The only enemy that we've been fighting longer than the Hive is the Fallen, and that's only by virtue of where you spawn in the game. We have not gotten a ton of like the Elixini have gotten more attention than any other race throughout both games, even more so than humanity. We as the Guardians, we don't know jack shit about what goes down in the city. We don't know what people do on a day-to-day basis. We don't know, like, do people still work? What do they do for entertainment? We don't know any of these things. We know a little bit more about the Hive than we do about humanity. We know that the Hive, they worship the darkness, they worship their gods, they worship the Hive or the worm gods. And the darkness is like the gods to the worm gods, and the worm gods are like the gods to the Ascendant Hive, and the Ascendant Hive are the gods to the rest of the Hive. But so it's this hierarchy thing. But the way that they presented Gaul as an enemy, they tried to do with Aldrin, and they did not do well. They should have done that with Hosh-Ladun. It was actually more expensive to buy the Shadowkeep expansion than it was Forsaken. So we deserve, with a full expansion that we paid for, we deserve to get more of a story than we did. We essentially got fetch quests from Eris, and we occasionally got to see her being like, poor Eris, she has PTSD. That has been long well established. I get that it was cool to see how does that weigh on her, and we have like a physical thing. She stands in a place called the Sanctuary where she can see the Scarlet Keep off in the distance. When you start the campaign, she does not have any of those phantoms around her. As you gather more relics and whatnot for her to pierce the pyramid for you so you can get in and be like, what the fuck is going on with the pyramid? She gets more and more of these phantoms of her fire team until at some point when you go to talk to her, she's standing to the side and she's slouching and she's looking down, and the phantoms are like crowded in around her. So it's like a physical representation of this really weighs on her. She has some seriously awful survivor syndrome. She feels terrible that she's still alive and none of them are. He hates the fact that she's still around.
Uh-huh.
We deserved to get the flip coin of that with Hosh-Ladun. We should have seen Hosh-Ladun because, like, going back to the Taken King, we got to see what Oryx was up to sometimes. We got to see Sivu Arath, which was another one of his siblings. We got to see, sorry, Dave, what's her name again?
Savathun.
Shavathun.
Yeah. We got to see Savathun. We got to see Sivu Arath. We didn't know much about them, but like we got to see them. What is Oryx doing this whole time? Crota was a big deal because he was the first like story when we fought Atheon in the Vault of Glass. It's like, okay, he's this crazy super vex, but it didn't really like accelerate this story in any way. When you beat Crota, it accelerated the story. When you beat Oryx, it accelerated the story. Omnigul, not so much because it was told through missions and strikes, but it did accelerate the story to some degree. So Hosh-Ladun is the product of all these entities. and we just got Big Wizard go boom. There's no character to her. There's no nothing. All the character you get to her is it seems like she's leading us somewhere. And she literally flies herself into a corner, so to speak. She has the same boss mechanic as Nokris, which is overcome this very small, annoying obstacle to get rid of her impenetrable shield, and then shoot her for 2 minutes, and she dies. Her father was a nightmare. She's supposed to be a product of her mother. She was taught magic by her mother. She's outlived everybody else, and she hates you particularly. And she sets up this trap to bring you in to exact her revenge. She should have been the main villain of Shadowkeep, and the darkness should have been like this looming threat that both of you are trying to get to first. It should have been this arms race where you're like, Hashladoon is attempting to know, weaponize the darkness, which is something that none of her predecessors have been able to do. And one of the things with Eris Morn is
I'd
she
argue
tells
all
you
the magic is
Hashladoon.
weaponized darkness.
Yeah, but this would have been like the next level. This would have been like going nuclear in comparison. It's like direct link. It's not through the Ascendant Hive, through the Worm Gods, through the darkness. It would have been Hashladoon, darkness.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
That
you
being
derailed
said,
me a
I
little
did
bit.
want to bring something up in your complaint though. Lore wise, the Hive don't feel things like regret and remorse like we do. So it makes
That
sense that
was
she
actually
wouldn't
the next thing. That
necessarily.
reminds me. There was one more thing I was going to say on there. One of the other options that you get for that's something that Eris can tell you on that mission is she tells you Hashladoon isn't the most powerful. She's not the smartest, but she survived this long because of her sheer determination and refusal to go down. Her dedication to her fervor, essentially her religion. But you get the idea that she is as all in on this as you are. She has survived because, like Shax, she has just refused to go down. She should have been a lot more than she was, and it was very, very disappointing that it was just Big Wizard.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a lot of vitriol.
Because I feel cheated. I feel like I was robbed, both story
Damn,
and
you're
money.
really
Yeah, no.
genuinely upset about that.
I mean, I don't think that's unfair to say that
No,
that it wasn't
that's true.
that story.
That just sounds like someone got lazy, is what that sounds like to me.
Yeah,
What happened though is they got
Now,
lazy. They got
I
used to
do,
their
I do want to, I do
system,
want to point
and
out
it's
that
less about their expansion had less story than the following seasons, and that's where you know they're all in on microtransactions, and the game is over. Shadowkeep, if they wanted to do it properly, Shadowkeep should have been either the first Destiny 2 campaign or Destiny 3 campaign, or it should have been the last Destiny 2 expansion. Because coronavirus, they decided, oh, well, let's do this. And then they took a bunch of shit that you already paid for away.
we'll
Yeah,
get to
that
that
shit pissed me
momentarily,
off.
but I did want to mention on the season side of things, while Hashladoon was doing all this stuff on the moon was also where some other stuff was going on for season 8, the season of the Undying. And more
True.
specifically, you were dealing with this other storyline where a particular powerful Vex mind called the Undying Mind, for very good reason, has been causing problems. And Ikora finally figures out a way to, you know, the mini Earth theory is, right?
Uh huh.
So she basically finds a way to go to all the mini Earths and kill this bitch in every last one of them. And I actually really, really liked the way they did that because it was super repetitive, like function in the season. I'm trying to remember mission. You basically just do the same mission over and over and over again. But
It's so
because of the way the
narratively-
story constructed itself around that, and the fact that this wasn't about doing the same mission over and over again, it was about the fact that we had to go to every single timeline and kill the Undying Mind at every timeline, because if it
Yeah.
exists in even one, it can regenerate itself in all of them.
Yeah,
It
because
made
of
it
that.
feel like I was actually fighting this force and making headway.
Yeah.
to defeat an enemy that was nigh undefeatable, and this
They
was the
posted
only way to
numbers
do
too.
it.
Posted numbers.
Yeah, they
And
did
I
post
also I quite enjoyed Season of the Undying because Ikora Ray basically was like an NPC with a function again. 'Cause the thing that annoyed me the
Oh
most
yeah.
is like most of the time that I've played Destiny 2, she's just like, "I'm sorry, Warlock, come back later. I might have something." And it's like, "Yeah, you never will."
not until season 8, and then after that, not again.
That kind of goes back into what I was saying though.
That's
Like,
fair.
there's more story for the seasons than there was for the expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get
Individually,
that.
each of the seasons, not all together because that would make sense because there's just more of them. But individually, each of the seasons had more narrative process to them than the
Because I can't
expansion.
remember what season came after Undying.
After
Was that
Undying, I want to say was
The one where we
on.
go get no, yeah, it was Season of Dawn.
No,
It was Season of Dawn.
yeah,
Right.
was it
because we
season
beat the
of Dawn?
Vex, and then we
Yeah.
got access to their crazy super time machine, which was like the Infinite Forest inside of the Infinite Forest, and we had to go through all these like ridiculous
No, it's
um
it was called
time.
the Sundial, and it was
Yeah,
Osiris's.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. It was like an old technology that he'd given up on. That he's like, wait, I think I figured it out finally.
not to cut you all off, but it has been about 2.5 hours now.
I do got to start getting ready for my my next appointment.
Are we? Are you? Did you say what you wanted to say about your
Well,
current
just
problem?
really briefly, let me finish because I wanted to talk about like basically why I walked away from Destiny, which was after the events of Shadowkeep and the events of the seasons leading up to. You had all these seasons, and they had story, and they were okay. And I didn't really play much with the season of the, but the point is they reached a point where the game's at capacity. They could technically add more to it, but it would mean that their fandom needs to have more space on their PlayStations, and most people have a 500 gigabyte PlayStation because that's what they can afford. So there was a question that they on the business end had to answer, which was, do we take away some of the game to provide new content in the game, or do we make Destiny 3?
And they
My
picked the wrong one.
my opinion was that they should have made Destiny 3. What they should
Because the
have done
PS5 was
say,
coming out, the
yeah,
new Xbox came out. They did this before with Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. It would have been so easy for Beyond Light to just be PS5 campaign 1.
Yeah.
now to be clear, what I wanted to say was, because they want to keep doing the seasons, the rough part with that is what I feel they should have done. I understand why they want to keep doing the seasons at this point without a big group like Activision to back them. They have to make enough money to keep making content. I understand.
It's
But
basically like
my
an
trouble
Adventure
was
Quest world
as a
monthly
player,
membership.
I think it would have been better to say, all right, Shadowkeep, that's the end of it. The season of Arrivals, that's the end of story we're going to tell. We're
Yeah,
going to
that
continue
really
to
should have
move.
been the end of Destiny 2.
We're going to continue to do seasons, and we're
Yeah.
going to continue to sell season passes, and we want to let you guys know we're going to do this because we need to make enough money to make Destiny 3. We are not going to tell more seasonal stories. We are going to recycle back to season 1 and go through everything again, or something like that. We're going to
Yeah, and it would have
recycle
been like
seasonal
if you
content.
didn't have the season, buy it. If you already bought it, then I mean, like,
Yeah.
why? I can't imagine they should ask you to
Yeah.
do this. But that way, it's like people who joined like post Forsaken, they saw the commercials and they're like, that game seems kind of cool. Maybe I'll buy it. And then they buy it and they already missed like the first 2 seasons after Forsaken was introduced. Well, now they have a chance to go back and they get to do all the Callous stuff, like Season of the Opulent, Season of the Drifter, stuff like that. Or those of us that had to quit playing Destiny 2 because it will consume you if you let it. Because we have like
Yeah.
jobs and families and stuff, so we had to stop playing for a couple months because it was a rough patch, and we missed a bunch of content. Now we have a chance to go do that again. And it comes around again, like things that were like, for instance, like David and I were saying, we really enjoyed season 8 because it was repetitive, but it was fun. and it was one of those like it feels like we did the narrative process, but it was still a fun activity. It was just like go 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 go. It was just like full assault siege mode, and it was high
It
octane,
felt
and I
awesome.
loved
It was a really, really cool
it.
season.
It felt more like war battleground than anything else we've done. It was like it was like you're on the front. This is a fire mission. Go eliminate hostiles. Take out enemy commander.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was the most. It's like the most fast paced, high octane, get shit dead that we've done so far, except for the Crucible, but that's against each other, so it doesn't count. Yeah, they should have cycled seasons and been like, we're gonna work on Destiny 3.
Yeah, that's what they should have done.
That's
but
my
that's not what
opinion.
they did.
And just so we're clear, I don't want to sound like it's all vitriol and no understanding, which is I understand that a lot of the Destiny people had to work at home. They live in states that had mask mandates and rules about where they had to go during all this COVID business. They couldn't keep people working in the office because they couldn't justify working in the office, and they were told that you can't do that if you can't not do that if you're going to keep up
Mandates, yeah.
with the mandates that they're putting in. So I get you got people working from home. There's a lot of remote work. You don't have a big company backing you anymore. You got to find a way to make money. I think you have a fan base that likes you enough to help support you. And I think honestly, you should have leaned into it, because for example, I missed a bunch of seasons. I missed like 6 seasons of content. I would have happily bought the season passes for those as they came. That's 60 more bucks, you know. Stuff
You're not
like
the
that.
only one, so that stacks
And
up
I know, yeah,
considerably.
I know I'm not the only one in that position, so it's not like there was no money to be made there. But and I understand that from a business point of view, it probably made more sense monetarily to continue your season storyline and then just push forward with the Destiny 2 storyline. But I really like I had to walk away from Destiny because it's an all-consuming. It's like I was talking to Dave about this the other day, and there's a friend of ours, and he said it's like World of Warcraft was in its heyday, and everyone called it World of War crack
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
because
you
that's
gotta
what it
be on
was.
top of it. You gotta
And
get
that,
the new stuff. You gotta meet the
yeah,
current meta, and
because you
then
got
in a month
3
the meta
months to
changes,
get the
and you
meta,
gotta
and
keep
then the
going.
meta changes. And if you were working a 40-hour shift or a 40-hour week, you ain't got time for that.
You better not
So
be
you're
working a
spending
40-hour shift. What the fuck?
The
spending
season
every
system and the way that they have
free
accelerated the
moment.
season system, it exists so that it works in a way that if you're not making money off of playing Destiny 2, making content and having a following and being like, oh, let's get this bread, then it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just not. If
it's
you have
really
a job that
hard.
isn't Destiny
It's
2,
not
it is not
impossible.
worth it to keep up with the seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah. So at this
but
point, it's not even worth playing it anymore for us.
It's
You
worth
know?
playing
yeah.
it from a PvE because like I re-downloaded it and Shadowkeep has the
Oh,
Altars of Sorrow, which
is
is just
all of
like a
Shadowkeep
board
still there,
breaking.
by the way? Because I don't
What?
actually know. Is all of Shadowkeep still there? Because I never
All of
finished Shadow.
Shadowkeep is still there. They got rid of Warmind and Curse of Osiris, but everything from Forsaken up
So
is still
just so we can get to paint a picture to those who haven't played Destiny, and to paint a picture for Steve real quick.
Mhm.
The map was Mercury, Mars, Earth, the Tower, uh, the not the Reef, the Tangled Shore, the Dreaming City, uh,
there.
Io, Titan, and the
And
Moon,
Nessus.
and Nessus. They removed Mercury, Mars, Nessus.
Oh, Nessus is still there. They got rid of Io.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
Mercury, Mars, Io? They got rid of Titan, I'm pretty sure.
Got rid of Titan.
That's half the map already.
Yep.
And then they removed the European Dead Zone, which was the area on
They,
Earth.
they gave it back though. They
And
gave it back. So now we have the EDZ and
The Cosmic Zone.
okay,
It's just like,
Okay,
oh,
so
you got the
but then the
Cosmodrome
other
that
thing you
you
have to
paid
understand, the other thing
for
you have to understand,
years
they
ago.
removed the Leviathan, and I need to state how important that is. The Leviathan hosted 5 different raids that they just nuked out of existence.
And all their gear.
I mean, I have no problem with this, but
That's because you didn't have
Well,
any like.
I'm just trying to
But
say,
you
like,
can see why
imagine
it
you're
would be a
playing
problem,
a game
right?
like that.
I
and they
can
take
see why it would
away-
be a problem. Yes.
It's
Yeah.
content that you've paid for, and they're just like, you don't have access to it anymore because we want you to play the new stuff that we also want you to pay for.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating, especially since New Light already made 2 paid expansions free, and stuff like that. So it's just like, I mean, for me, the real reason I had to walk away from it is because it's all consuming, and I spent too much time trying to keep up with everything. But this was like the actual hammer blow that was like, okay, this is bad enough that I'm officially walking away, and I'm sticking to my guns and not going back unless I hear that they have fixed the problem, which from what I understand, by virtue of how they're doing things, will never happen.
Here's one thing that they added that is in. I don't have any of the current seasons or expansions, but I can do it if I want. They added so in Destiny 2 they added a thing called Lost Sectors, which was like a sub zone. It was you go in there and it'd be like a very very quick, very very fast, easy dungeon raid. Go in, you kill the boss, the mini boss of the area, and you get a treasure chest for it. They introduced master level of those. I just totally blanked. My ADHD.
That's what Shadow keeps called. It's Lost Sectors. Master
Yeah,
rank
lost sectors. They introduced master level lost sectors. So for those of us who do not like PvP because we don't want to deal with people who are just like, yeah, bro, super cool, bro.
Yeah, you
It
guys
does
have
breathe
all the
some life
best
into things
descriptors
that
of sweaty boys.
it does breathe some life into things that we've done hundreds and hundreds because it's like it's similar to what's called a nightfall strike, and it's called nightfall because it's harder. It's
Okay,
closer to being.
speaking of really quick, the last trophy that I don't have in Destiny 2, because they took out the Leviathan, it used to be complete the Leviathan Prestige, which is a raid. Now it's complete a master level Nightfall Strike by yourself.
I get sweaty.
Let me tell you my response to that. Go fuck yourself.
Right?
Like
Yeah,
no.
the
I'm not doing that.
PVE. If there were PVE things that you enjoyed doing before that weren't like season based, those are still there. The areas that you're allowed to play, so you can still do those. Like I do very much enjoy Altars of Sorrow because I can be listening to like my podcasts or whatever and just play Altars of Sorrow, and it's just here comes a wave of enemy soldiers, beat them up, kill their mini boss, move on to the next area, rinse repeat, and then kill the boss at the end. And it's just a nice, easy 10 to 20 minute, depending on who's around, loop. It's fun. It gives you gear that you can turn into gunsmith materials, which is an in-game currency. And it's just a thing to do. But yeah, no, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm not paying for anything else, unless they go Destiny 3 and they drop the season system. I'm even more about it.
I don't even mind if they
I
keep
understand
the
the season system. I'm not buying into it anymore because I keep buying seasons and I keep getting what feels like the crumbs that have fallen off of the idea table.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like
season
I'm like disincentivized to continue buying it. Why would I keep buying things that get worse and worse every time? I've had it. I'll play what I already own.
People still bought Fallout 76.
True.
That's a different thing that we can talk about next time if you'd like. We're up on that 2-hour mark.
Oh, we're at about 2 hours and 40
we're
minutes.
3 hours now.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to 3 hours.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah.
Zeta.
I definitely have things to do this afternoon, so.
Yeah. So in short,
you have to blurb that
Yeah,
statement,
I
guess.
love how you bring it up every time, even though I wasn't all that concerned about it.
Yeah, I
You-
just
you've
thought
already-
like
I
what
you
the
do
hell
have-
Reddit.
because I have to remind myself to
Mm.
stop saying it.
Okay, well, you've already done it like 3 times, so.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be this interesting yada 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 Zeta yada 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 yada.
Yep. But yeah, so in
Yeah.
short, microtransactions bad.
Yep, in short, microtransactions bad.
That's what I got
Storytelling
out of.
good.
That's what I got out of that entire discussion.
Yeah, is microtransactions bad?
3
That
hours
really
to
is what it
bitch
is.
about
It's the power creep of
microtransactions.
microtransactions, the pay to win culture. Tisk tisk
Yeah.
tisk.
What the fuck is that? That's not culture.
Well, exactly.
All right.
Well, what's the outro? We just say bye to everybody. This has been the tutorial. If you learned something, why?
Wow.
How? What have you learned?
Wow.
Tell us in the comment section below.
Give me a 5-star review on iTunes and tell me what you learned.
It's Apple Podcast now. Yeah,
Oh wait, is the podcast on Apple?
not yet.
We'll get there.
Eventually. I can dream.
I hope to. I hope.
All right,
I
hit
hope
me
to
with that
dream one
sick
day.
outro.
That was our sick outro.
Yeah.
Say
Yeah.
say bye now.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.